Cory. Oh, I mean, and you're that way. Oh yeah. Oh, they can't hear you. They can't hear you. Did you forget to unmute yourself?
I did forget to unmute myself. That's awesome. I love that for me. It's early. Okay. um, welcome to the Boopcast episode 44. We are your host, SheNoob, and
Cory.
oh my god. It wouldn't be a
Oh
Boopcast if
man.
I forgot to do something right at the
Yeah.
start. You know what else I didn't do? Get my notes up.
Oh God. We
um,
are a mess.
We are a mess. Would you have us any other way? That's not the right document. Where is it? I don't know. Here, while I find my notes. So I was saying that it's easier for me to know which way to point because the bi flag's here,
Hmm.
so I know that Cory's on this side. But yeah, what else was I saying? I don't know. I was saying words and I can't find my notes anywhere. There they are. Found them.
Oh man.
Love that for me. This is going so well.
At least you have notes. Half of last season you didn't have notes.
Listen, I couldn't be bothered.
I mean, fair, because you knew I would take notes.
Yes, you take way more extensive notes than me too. I'm just like, that thing was
Hey,
cool. Talk
Bartek.
about that.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, we don't even really need notes because you and we could just talk nonsense for 2 hours about
I mean,
Ruby.
I know if I don't take notes though, I'm gonna forget something super important.
True.
Hey, Unicorn of War, thank you so much for being here. And Tyson, hi. Eskimo, hi. Thank you for the follows from Random Guy and Edric. Appreciate you. Um, so yeah, season 4. This is our 4th year of doing this,
I know.
and
It's unreal.
it is unreal. And I think it's going to be probably our best year yet. We have so many amazing people who are coming on the podcast this year. It's so exciting. So if you haven't seen the announcements, they are on the Boopcast Twitter and my Twitter, and Cory has retweeted them. So the first exciting thing is that my chatbot is deciding not to work.
What do you
Great.
mean?
I can't type in the. Oh, it's just being stupid. All right, never mind.
I was like, it looks like it's working.
It's being stupid for me. Hang on, let me
Oh,
just boop test it.
that's not exclamation boop.
Yeah, I know. It's being dumb. I
Maybe.
can't see um my own messages in my chatbot. Okay, everything's broken. Good to know. Ugh. Bear with me while I restart that.
Oh boy.
Hey, it wouldn't be a bootcast if there were not technical difficulties.
I mean, truly, we're on time this week, so that means that something else has to go wrong.
Exactly. Okay, bear with me. I'm just gonna. Yeah, I must
So
have
fun.
punted
The
the
bu-
bot. The
uh,
word train
uh,
comes to mind. Thank
yeah.
you.
Bartek, we haven't started talking yet. We just started the
Yeah, we've just started,
podcast.
but my chatbot just broke, so I'm just fixing that. So bear with me. Okay, I can see my messages now. That's great. Love it.
Yay.
Alrighty. So this year, we're working things a slight bit differently. Um, so instead of having the question redemptions, which we had last year, Streamlabs doesn't do those anymore.
I licked it. It's mine.
Mhm.
Heather, thank you
Oh,
so much for the
Heather.
3-month resub. Oh my gosh, you got a special resub. You've gotten a new subscriber badge. We don't have the other alerts on, so remind me next time I stream to play the special alert for you. Thank you so much. Has that been 3 months? Well, it's been 2 months. This is your third
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Heather. Um, so what the fuck was I talking about? So yeah, Streamlabs doesn't do those redemptions anymore. So now, the Boopcast has a Twitter, which you can follow with that link, twitter.com/theboopcast. And then you can tweet that account with the hashtag
I licked it. It's
Boopcast
mine.
Tyson, thank you for the 16-month
Hey.
resub. You guys are awesome. You can tweet at that account with the hashtag Boopcast, and your tweets will appear on the stream while we are live, and I will be monitoring the notifications on that Twitter. And if you have burning questions that you want to ask, pop them through on the Twitter, and then we'll be able to see them, because we may miss them in chat occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's RWBY season.
Yeah.
That snuck
Well,
up on me.
yeah, it kind of did, but like we were talking about before the stream, we didn't do boopcasts in the off season like we planned to, because you were just so busy.
I was moving. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I also just realized this is the first time I'm doing the bootcast in my new house.
Oh yeah.
I live with Larissa from Nerds of Oz now, so that's a thing. But yeah, I've moved to Tasmania. I moved here in June, and yeah, that was around the time the soundtrack was released. So we like planned to do podcasts about the soundtrack and podcasts about all the RWBY 7 news, and it just didn't happen because I was moving, and then I got a full-time job, so it just didn't happen. And on that note, the schedule for the podcast is going to be all over the place this year. I apologize, but with my job, I work 5 days a week, and then I work an occasional Saturday. So I have a few Saturdays that I need to work. So the schedules for the bootcast, they'll either be super early or super late. Sorry. I know the one we're doing with Tyson in chapter 3 will be super late. So, and there goes the door. I'm just gonna laugh at him while he answers whoever's at the door. Okay, I'm gonna try and not derail the stream here. This is so funny. This happens every fucking time we do a podcast. Oh god, I relate to the struggle, Cory. Me whenever I record.
Ah, God. Like,
what does she want?
my dad wanted, my dad wanted me to go with him somewhere, and I'm like, I told you guys, I can't do Fridays anymore.
Nope. Alrighty. So, thank you all for being here. We will get to chatting about chapter 1. Big, massive spoiler warning for chapter 1 of RWBY Volume 7. If you have not seen it, you probably shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but like, if you care at all about being spoiled, leave.
Yeah. And this is especially an episode where it's like, there's some episodes where I feel like, if people get spoiled, maybe not the end of the world. This is one you don't want to get spoiled for. I don't want people to be spoiled for this episode.
Absolutely not. Excuse me while I adjust my webcam, because it's like way too high for some reason.
I know.
I ceased to talk.
I feel so bad for non-first members as well. I saw so many people talking about getting spoiled on the day of.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ugh.
I'm like, okay, there are measures that you can take, but some people will refuse to, like, if you're going to tweet about episodes before they're out for the public, even on the day they come out for the public, and the week after as well, use the freaking spoiler hashtags. It's hashtag RWBY spoilers, hashtag RWBY 7 spoilers. If you use those, please, when you're talking anything spoilerish, even if you don't think it's a spoiler, if you have to stop and go, might this be a spoiler? It's a spoiler. Hashtag it. If you're talking about anything to do with a new chapter that isn't out for the public yet, please use the spoiler hashtags, because the people who don't want to see those will mute the hashtags. And if you're someone who doesn't want to see them, mute the hashtags. Because that will help you immensely. And also, I would just advise avoiding Twitter on the day of release for first members. As much as you can, and definitely avoid Tumblr like the plague for the week before it's out for the public.
Well, I even say with one thing I haven't liked about this last week is following the official RWBY RT account. They've been posting screenshots from the episode all week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
I mean,
so
like, it's the official RWBY account. So I feel like people should know to just mute that account if they don't want to see spoilers, because they're going to be posting shit about the new chapter.
Yeah.
What gets me is when the Rooster Teeth account tweets very spoilerish screenshots and gifs of the new episode like the day it comes out. I'm like, come on, guys. You know you have reactors, and you know you have people who don't want to see spoilers, people who are not first members. Be a little more sensitive than that. Like,
Hmm.
don't tweet screenshots of you know who on the day of the release of the episode.
Hmm.
Like, that's
Yeah.
shitty.
Hmm. Well, I know one way a lot of people were getting spoiled though is people were properly tagging their posts, but they had their profile picture set to
Yeah,
you know who and stuff like that,
and
and like
yeah,
those were still coming up,
yeah.
and so unfortunately that's another thing where it's like, come on, people, like
It's
be
not that
respectful for
hard.
non-first members,
It's not
because
that hard. Just use the hashtags. It takes you 2 extra seconds to type them in. Like, don't be a dick. Like,
yeah.
come on. Why do people feel the need to spoil things for other people who don't have a first membership? It's literally like a pay to watch early service. Not everyone can afford that. Um, and Thomas, yeah, I agree. The official account should be using the spoiler tags, definitely. But they're not. So they should be doing that. I'm just gonna put that out there. But yeah. Anywho's, with all of that said, yep, if you don't want to be spoiled, I won't hate you for leaving the stream.
Mhm.
And
And this is archived. This will be archived
yes,
on her YouTube channel 24 hours from now, or
yeah,
well, 24 hours from when
24
we
hours
end.
from when we end. So it'll be around 11 a.m. tomorrow ish. It will go up on YouTube because it is 9:19 a.m. for me currently. So 6 p.m. CST. It'll be up on
Mhm.
YouTube tomorrow. Um, and my reaction with Larissa will be out tomorrow when the episode comes out. And then your
Oh, did
reaction.
Larissa's get on? Did it get
Oh,
unblocked? Because
if
mine
it's
hasn't been
unblocked by then.
unblocked yet.
Yeah, no. Okay, there's an
Yeah.
issue with reactions not getting unblocked. There's not a lot of time left, so I'm not sure if anyone's is going to be unblocked in time.
Hmm.
Because, you know, most people don't get them up till Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday even. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure that they're going to be unblocked unless Rooster Teeth plan on just attacking them all at once today. Um,
Hmm.
we'll see what happens, but I am so ready to see all the reactions. Now, I do want to address again my reactions this year. I am not reacting to RWBY Volume 7. I joined Larissa for the premiere, and I will join her for maybe Chapter 6 and also the finale. Um, so, but apart from that, I'm still going to film myself watching the chapters because I feel like if something huge were to happen and I didn't catch it on camera, I would be mad at myself. So I'm still going to film
Hmm.
myself. I'm just not going to do YouTube videos every week because I don't have time for that. And
Yeah.
at the end of the volume, I'll be posting one video of like all of the highlights of Volume 7 and my reactions to all of the highlights. So
Hmm. Yeah.
that's how I'm tackling it this
Hmm.
year. Um, I
And
am. Mm,
I was to say, I think that's a perfectly. It's honestly the best solution given how
yeah,
much time you have,
yeah. Well, I
is
work
to
full
just
time
do it
now,
that way.
and like I'm like completely reworking my streams at the moment. That's taking me a long time to do. I'm switching stream platforms. I'm switching stream from Streamlabs to Stream Elements. It's taking some time to get everything set up. So I'm not streaming at the moment, but every night I come home and I'm working on shit all the time. So I'm very busy, and I will get there eventually. But yeah, for this year, it just wasn't going to happen for me. And I feel like I will enjoy the show a lot more if I'm not having to make
Mhm.
reactions every week.
Yeah, because that was also the other thing last volume is like you were just you were just getting tired of like
Yeah.
the hate dom kind of.
Oh
They
yeah.
always seem to be coming for you last volume.
Do you know why? Because I am opinionated and I voice my opinions unapologetically, and people don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't care that they don't like it. They can say whatever they like. I don't give a shit. But at some point, when you're wading through, hundreds of comments and half of them are literally just attacking you, you go, you know what? Fuck this. I can't be bothered.
Mhm.
I'm not going to all of this effort every single week to cop this nonsense from people. Um, and I thought about doing reactions with the comments off, but then I thought that kind of defeats the purpose because then there's no discussion with people about the episodes and that. We still have the Boopcast, so I knew we wanted to keep going with this. We don't ever want to stop doing the Boopcast. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I just thought it was pointless to do reaction videos and then not interact with anyone. So, but like I said, I still wanted to capture the moments of me reacting to certain things and then make a video. But it's just going to be more time efficient for me to do it this way. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and I think most people understand that and probably saw it coming as well. But I just sort of made the definitive decision when the trailer came out that no, I'm not doing this year. I'm going to be a lot happier. I'm going to enjoy the show a lot more if I don't have to worry about it. A big reason as well was that I didn't want to do thumbnails, but now I'm doing the thumbnails for Larissa's reactions. So,
Oh, well.
but they're a lot simpler than mine were. Mine took forever to do.
Mm-hmm.
They took hours. So they looked really good. They took far too long. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's all about that one. Oh, I am working on a lyric video for Trust Love. It is getting there. I will hopefully finish it by tomorrow to get it uploaded and ready for unblocking, so it will be up sometime this coming week. And I'm very excited for you guys to see it because I think it's going to be my best one yet. So it's very pretty. I love the
It is
intro
it's very
so much. The
pretty.
intro made it really easy for me to make an exciting lyric video because of the stuff that it does with like the colors
Mm-hmm.
and the silhouettes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's so stylized. It's easy to do.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Enough about all of that. Let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
the episode.
Well, before we do, we could probably talk this later, but Bartek asked in the chat, and I want to like make sure it's known now before we lose it. But asked if this volume's reveal was more hype than Neo's reveal last volume, and my answer to that is yes.
Mine
I
is
think
no.
well, okay. My reasoning behind it is even though I saw this coming, the Neo reveal from last season kind of got ruined because people found her umbrella in the intro 3 weeks before she actually appeared.
This is true.
But granted, also, I know that you predicted that this was going to happen before you watched the episode, whereas
Oh yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
think
obvious to
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
So I can understand. For me, it was when it happened, I was like, "Oh shit!"
So the reason I say no is that with Neo's reveal, I knew Neo's reveal was coming because of what people had found in the intro, but it sort of took me off guard when it did happen, and also like I was just really surprised to see her and like the way she looked in the new engine and then the amazing fight scene that followed after that. That was a lot of hype for me. For Penny's reveal this volume, I saw it coming as soon as Kerry made that tweet that was like, you might want to watch the episode before watching the intro. No reason. I was like, Penny, it's the only explanation. Why else would he tweet that unless Penny was in the intro and revealed in the episode? I'm like, it's obvious to me. So when I got to it in the episode, Larissa was freaking out because she didn't see it coming. And I was like, did you really not expect this? Like, I was like, hey, it's Penny, awesome. And she was like in tears and like, oh my god, it's Penny. I'm like, I'm happy for you, but like I saw this coming from a mile away.
See, that thing that I just didn't even think about it. I was so hyped about just meeting Penny's dad that I was like, and I knew we would see her eventually, but like I just didn't think episode 1 that it would happen. So I was like, oh shit, it's happening.
I'm thinking the reason it kind of reminds me in a way of spoilers for Game of Thrones, but if you haven't seen it by now, you've had 8 years. Go away.
Yeah, the show's over.
9 years. Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of like episode 2 of season 5 when they brought Jon Snow back.
Yeah.
Season 5, yeah.
Or no.
No, 6.
No, season 6, yeah.
6 because there's been 8.
Mm-hmm.
When they like did that, I was like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's way too early in the season. It's not gonna happen. And then it happened, and I was like, okay. That was kind of what Penny's reveal reminds me of because it happens right at the beginning. but I feel like we don't understand yet why they've done that way and how significant she's going to be for the rest of the volume. Because at the end of season 6 of Game of Thrones, Jon Snow's return made sense. But it just didn't make sense at the time, but it made sense by the end of the season. I feel like that's the situation that we're going to have here. Is that Penny coming back so early is going to make a lot of sense to us by the end of the volume, with what she might be doing and how relevant and how important she's going to be. She's in the intro, so and Cinder and Neo aren't in the intro, so I'm having a feeling that Penny's going to be quite important this volume. So, but yeah, so with our structure, please God don't let Penny get hacked.
I mean, I hope not.
So with our structure this year, Cory is going to focus his analysis more on the characters and their character story arcs and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to focus less on chronological events and more on just sort of the big kind of points in the episodes that I notice, and also I want to talk about the score. I always talk about the score. I have to talk about the score. The score is amazing in this chapter, as it always is. It's never not amazing, but in my opinion, it was obvious that she'd come back. It would only be a matter of, was her memory fully recovered? Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was the other thing that surprised me too, was how she would that was the moment that honestly got me the most, was when she recognized Ruby, because I was expecting oh, we'll get Penny again, but she won't be Penny. And then it's no, we got our Penny back. It was oh my feelings.
Do you know what I just noticed? I was reading my notes just now. I noticed they're from volume 6, not volume 7, so I need to get the right notes up. Listen, I made a new thing for I made a new folder for volume 7, and my notes were in there. Here we go. Now I'm in the right place. There we go. Now I'm in the right episode.
Something she might be back from the Relic of Creation. Oh God, please don't let this be a monkey's paw. I don't see why.
Yeah,
but
they mentioned they were able to retrieve her core and from that rebuild her. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. People tend to have a lot of wild theories when it comes to RWBY, and I tend to think all of them are bullshit. So
yeah.
I don't buy into a lot of the fan theories, because things like, Crow being Ruby's dad and all this sort of shit is so out there, and I'm like, ugh. I just can't deal with the fandom and their theories.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try not to theorize too much, because the show always ends up surprising me, and doing the opposite of what I thought it was going to do. Volume 6 is a prime example. No, Volume 5 is a prime example. Every week on that show, I felt like I was being blindsided. So I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to make predictions anymore, because clearly I have no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I don't really have a lot of predictions for this volume, honestly, because I'm I feel like after the next episode we'll have a good idea, but from what we've seen so far, I'm they could do anything.
Yeah, could go anywhere. We literally don't know what's going to happen. I think this is the scariest volume, because I'm I can't predict anything, because I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. And I might have a better idea 6 episodes in, but for now I'm could go anywhere from here.
Plus, also, we do have to remember, originally this episode was slated to be the Volume 6 finale.
Yeah.
So, this, I mean, I think it works really well as the Volume 7. I think, honestly, it works better as the Volume 7 first episode.
So. Yeah.
But it wasn't really meant to, give us the plot hook. That's what the next episode's for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I think obviously some fundamental things about the chapter have been changed, because it went from a finale to a premiere. But it would have been really, really strange for them to end Volume 6 with Penny's reveal and arriving in Atlas and then getting arrested and then just end the volume. That would have been so weird. And, I think the entire fandom would have had a conniption all off-season if they did that. And then left us with literally no answers.
Yeah. Plus, Plus, also, like, even just from watching the trailer, like, when we saw the shot of them all getting, like, handcuffed, basically, like, I instantly knew I wasn't, like, worried that those were bad people. I was like, those are going to be Ironwood's men. And so, like, especially with the fact that the episode showed us that they were Ironwood's men, like, if this had been the final episode and us seeing who had captured them, I wouldn't be like super worried because I'm like, it's not like Salem captured them. It's not
Yeah,
like Raven captured them. It's Ironwood. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's like it's essentially the police, so
hmm
military police. So it's like, and the intro kind of spoils the suspense with that because the intro
hmm
shows the Ace Ops guys and Team RWBY teaming up and fighting Grim, and so that it's gonna be fine. Like these guys are gonna
yeah.
be
I mean, even
friends
the
eventually.
trailer ruins that
Yeah, the
itself.
trailer does ruin it as well. I just love the final image of Volume 6 being the site of the air fleet above Atlas. Hey, Brandon! Way stronger for a finale. Yeah, I agree.
hmm
And it also gave them that freedom to literally pick up exactly where they left off for Volume 7.
hmm
Um, so, literally, the shot that we saw at the end of Volume 6 was practically the start of Volume 7. So, I will say though, it was jarring for me that the fact that they did pick up immediately where they left off, and Crow's voice is different.
Uh, I mean, it's noticeably
It
different,
is.
but not so much that I didn't immediately think it was Crow speaking. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's definitely it's different, but I'm not mad about it. I think
hmm
Jason's doing an incredible job so far. We haven't heard him that much, and obviously he's going to get more comfortable in the character as the volume progresses and as the show progresses as well. If Crow makes it past this volume, I hope so. But
We've been predicting his death since the start of the
we've been
Boopcast.
predicting
So
his death since volume 4, chapter
6.
8, I think it was. No, because the Tyrion versus Crow fight was in chapter 7.
Was it really?
Yeah, it
I thought it
was.
was in chapter 6.
No, it was 7. Because 8
Oh,
was
he showed up at the end of 6, and then the
8 was a
fight was in
much
7.
needed talk. That long,
hmm
boring chapter. And then he got sick. But yeah, every single year the fandom prepares for Crow's death, but we'll never be ready for it, or he'll just never die. We're all idiots.
Yeah.
That's a big mood. But yeah, so yeah, it was jarring because it was the exact same scene as Volume 6, but Crow's voice had suddenly changed. And I feel
hmm
like they gave him a lot of lines this chapter too. And I noticed that when Ren changed voice actors from Monty to Neith, they gave Ren a lot of lines in the first couple chapters of Volume 3. And I think they do that to get us used to the voice faster.
hmm
Because it is something I will have to get used to. I liked his "Hey
hmm
pal." Yeah, I agree. That was the biggest line that I thought that sounds like Crow. He's doing a phenomenal job. I commend him, and I also commend him for the way that he handles all of the hate from the fandom that he cops. Actually,
hmm
no, they're not members of the fandom. They're Vic stans. It's a completely different. They don't represent the fandom. I don't count those
hmm
people in the fandom, but
It's
the
because they don't
way,
like the show.
yeah, I don't even know why. Like, come on, do better, more productive things with your life. But the way he handles that with such graciousness, and I'm sure he was well warned ahead of time by Rooster Teeth that
Oh yeah.
you're going to be attacked by people, and he just handles it so well, and he's doing such a phenomenal job in the character. And by the end of the volume, he's going to make it his own, and we'll all be used to the new voice. We
hmm
got used to Ren, we will get used to Crow. And
I feel like I'm already used to his new voice, though.
I'm
Honestly.
not yet. It's going to take a few more episodes for me. But I mean, Mercury has switched twice voice actors, so and like I didn't
Was
even
it
really.
twice?
Yeah, it was twice. He had I forget who
It,
voiced him
it
originally.
was JJ.
JJ, and then there was another one, and then there was Yuri Lowenthal.
I thought it just went JJ to Yuri.
He's had 3 voice actors. Let me look it up.
Really?
I forget what the second guy's name is, but he's definitely had 3.
Mm. No, yeah. Yeah, Wars are green. It was just JJ in Volume 2, and then it's been Yuri since.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, because he wasn't in Volume 1.
yeah.
I mean, he kind of was, but he wasn't. Um,
He was a 2D
I
image.
thought he had 3 voice actors. Okay, well he switched once as well. I didn't even really notice it that much until somebody pointed
Yeah.
it out to me that like, oh, it's Yuri Lowenthal. I was like, is it? I love Yuri Lowenthal so much.
Beware Mercury PNG.
But yeah, noticeable figure also again missing from the intro. Mercury and Emerald, nowhere to be
Hmm.
seen.
Oh, I think that we are done with them for a little while.
You know who else wasn't in the intro? Salem.
Hmm.
I just realized.
Yeah. The only bad guys that we saw were Watts and Tyrion, who were the two that she sent.
Yeah, no
And
Hazel.
like, yeah. I mean, I'm fine with only seeing those
I
guys
mean, we've had quite a
because they're
few of
the
them over the last 3 volumes,
yeah.
so
Because they're the relevant ones, and especially also like we've got the Shnees, we've got Tyrion and Watts, we've
yeah,
got Cinder and
there's
Neo
too many
showing up
people.
eventually.
There's too many
We
people.
don't need more bad guys.
No. Who are you again? They pull a cinder on her.
Mhm.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm excited for a lack of Cinder this volume because I hate that bitch so goddamn much. I hate her. I'm sick of her face. I'm sick of looking at her. I'm sick of her voice. Jessica, I love you, but I'm fucking sick of her. Go away. Like literally leave for a volume. But I'm torn because more Cinder means more Neo. So I'm like, I have to put up with Cinder, but then I get Neo. So I'm like, oh, I want more Neo,
Yeah.
but fuck off Cinder.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. I love to hate
oh
Cinder.
my god,
Plus,
please,
also
yes, I want that to happen.
she's so gorgeous.
She is beautiful and I love her freaking outfits and shit like that. But as a character and as a person, I hate that bitch. And I want her to die. And she's like a cockroach. She keeps coming back. And I'm just like, somebody fucking squish her already. Jesus, get it over
Oh,
with.
I saw a comment on actually I think it was Instagram about Penny's resurrection,
Mm.
and they said we've gotten Cinder resurrected, we've gotten Penny resurrected, like we could get Pura, we could get Torchwick, we could get, and I was like, no, these
No.
are completely different scenarios.
Torchwick got
Cinder
eaten.
was obviously not dead,
Yeah, oh
and
my
Penny's
god.
a robot.
Yeah, okay, Penny's a robot. She was ripped into pieces, but she wasn't like disintegrated. She was, in pieces, but still, she was salvaged.
Hmm.
Um,
And a robot.
Cinder was obviously not dead. I literally even remember in my reaction to that episode when she fell off a cliff being like, bye, see you next volume. Like, I knew
Yeah.
she was coming back. And so
Yeah,
did 90% of the fandom.
every single reaction I saw was like, yeah, she ain't dead.
There was only one person, I don't remember who it was, and I don't want to out them either, who believed that she was dead and was surprised when she came back. I was like, bitch, I told you. Like of course she was coming back, and it was so obvious to us that she was coming back.
Oh yeah,
I was just surprised to see her in, I think it was the start of chapter 2 that we saw her, wasn't it? In volume 6.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was very early.
Yeah, it was like right at the start of the chapter, so I was like, okay, this is how we're starting this. Hi, Cinder, welcome back. Please die. Please drown.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with those two, it was kind of obvious as well that Penny was going to come back at some point because they've always sort of teased it to us. That hey, she's a robot, she could come back.
Spiders.
Pyrrha was incinerated and turned to dust, and Torchwick got eaten by a Grim. They ain't coming back. they're done. Also, I want to address something about Torchwick.
You don't have that S. Dang it, you don't have the S effects on.
I don't have them on. No, I'm sorry, because I would have to turn them all off individually, and that's painful.
Yeah.
And I have like 100.
I just really was like, he's talking about spiders, and I know you had that as an S effect. Spiders.
Yes. So, hold on. Let me do this really quick. Hold on.
Oh, you're just gonna play it manually?
There we go. So I want to address something with Torchwick. People were saying, how does Neo have Torchwick's hat when he got eaten by a Grim? Knowing
He wasn't wearing.
Torchwick like I did, he probably has many of those hats, not just the
Yeah.
one. He probably had so many, just as backups, because he was complaining about like his jacket. He just got it dry cleaned, and like he's got to have more than one hat for sure. So Neo has clearly just gone to his hat stash and pinched one of those. Would you like a cup of spadus?
Eskimo, we've already seen the thumbnail and stuff for the next episode.
Yeah.
So
I haven't
thank
seen
you,
the
but we
title
don't
though.
need
What's
to.
the title?
Oh, I asked you that before we started.
Yeah, I saw your tweet, but I didn't read it, boy. Listen, I was rushing.
It was like something talk or something. Somebody will say it.
What was it? A new approach. That's right.
I
Yeah,
knew.
I do
Yeah, it was.
remember
Yeah, I knew.
seeing that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, a new approach, and the thumbnail's Ironwood, which is interesting to me. So I'm wondering if Team RWBY are already going to be brought to Ironwood the next chapter, or if that's just sort of trying to throw us off a little bit.
I mean, I think they will, uh, because the problem is I don't see how they're gonna like get that unless Ironwood specifically is like I must talk to these people because Crow's there.
Yeah, maybe if he hears
But
that they've been
otherwise,
captured, then he might,
yeah.
be like, just bring them to me. I need to speak to them.
Hmm.
Because they've made so much effort to get to fucking Atlas, he must know that they're there to see him. And I don't
And maybe
see
he
why
got
he would
actually got
refuse them
Crow's letter.
otherwise. Yeah, maybe he did. Who knows? Apparently, nobody's gotten anybody's letters though. So, according to Volume 5,
Well,
um, bring Team RWBY to justice. They were just trying to help. I mean, they did fuck things up pretty royally in August, but I also blame Cordova for that as well. So, equal blame all around. If Ironwood uses Jin's last question and he learns the truth about Salem, we're all doomed. Yeah.
I hope not because it's like why would you not trust them to tell you?
I don't
Like
think Ironwood is capable of trusting anyone right now.
true. I mean, literally they described him as paranoid.
And
So
like he wasn't on the best of terms with Crow to begin with. But what's going to be interesting to me is Oscar and his situation when Ironwood
well,
gets
I
involved.
mean, they're fighting in the intro, so
There was a brief,
scuffle.
scuffle in the intro. So, but I think Ironwood is smart enough to know he wouldn't stand a fucking chance against Osman. So.
Figured it was training, but I fear for my farm boy. I mean, true. I mean, I also think that I have this written in my notes for when we get there, but like I also think that location they're fighting in might be the vault. So I'm like, oh.
Although I don't think necessarily that means they're going to be fighting in the vault. I think it's just them showing sort of the background of the vault and then some kind of confrontation going on. So there's going to be some kind of confrontation surrounding the relic. Now, they need the Winter Maiden to open the vault. So whether she shows up at some point or not is going to be interesting. I've
and
kind of
that's the
forgotten about the maidens, to be honest.
I was gonna bring the maidens up because there aren't very many women that we don't already know in the intro, and I feel like the Winter Maiden would be a central enough character that they would maybe show her in the intro. So really our only options from the intro are Robin, Penny, and Winter. Like that's kind of it, unless one of the Aesop's people is, but
I mean, we haven't
I don't
met
think so.
a new maiden since Amber that isn't an already established character. So we know that Cinder's the Fall Maiden, Raven's the Spring Maiden. So it's only Winter and Summer that are elusive at this point. I mean, I feel like I agree. I feel like the Winter Maiden would be in the intro, but I also feel like maybe they've deliberately left her out, so not to like set expectations for the volume.
Yeah.
So judging by
because I also don't think that
it could be, yeah.
I also don't think that maybe that they want to focus on Maiden so much because of how much they focused on them in Volume 5 with everything. It would be almost redundant to like almost have like the same struggle of like, but we have to find the Maiden to get the vault open.
And I liked more how they handled it in. Yeah, I did like how they handled it more in Volume 5, where they were like, we need to get the vault open, so we need to know where the Spread Maiden is. And
Mhm.
it only really seems to come up when they're like, okay, we've got a vault, we need to get the relic, we need to find the maiden that's going to open this vault. So whether she shows up at all in this volume is still a bit of a question mark to me. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to leave that until volume 8. But definitely they show the relic in the intro, so I'm like, at some point this
Yeah.
volume we're gonna see it, which means the vault has to be opened, which means the Winter
Yeah.
Maiden has to show up, and
Mhm.
that's just kind of, it seems logical that she's gonna show up at some point. People are still theorizing that it's Winter Schnee. I don't think that's that far fetched at this point, but
Yeah.
um,
But
I just I'm just not sure because she just doesn't seem like the type to buy into all of that sort of shit. Um,
yeah. Plus, also, I feel like she would have had to have been the maiden by volume 3 already.
mm.
I mean, not necessarily
I mean,
the
a lot could have
case.
happened since then that
A
we're
lot.
not
I mean,
aware of.
yeah.
Yeah. If Robin actually isn't the maiden, what do you think their fight would be about? Oh yeah, it could be Robin. That's a good point. Hmm.
I said Robin. I said the three
Sorry,
people are Winter, Robin, and Penny.
I didn't hear Robin. I heard Winter and Penny. Could she know Tyrion? It's possible, but I.
I I have a theory because yeah, as Unicorn saying, Watts is messing with the mantle election, judging by the intro, so an
Mm,
assassination. Yeah, because like they said in chapter 9 of last volume, that they need to make sure James doesn't come to his senses and call for aid from Vacuo.
mm-hmm,
So if Robin would be calling for more of like, a united world and stuff, like they would want her out of the picture.
mm,
Like, especially because based on the news bulletin board that says Mantle Hometown Hero versus Atlesian Tycoon, it sounds like it's between her and potentially Jacques
I think Jacques. Yeah.
as the two who are they running for. Jacques would be way better of like the bad guys would much rather have Jacques in power than
Mm-hmm,
anybody else.
mm-hmm. Yeah. He's so corrupt. It's not funny. Um, and like
He's so greedy, it's not funny.
because it uses the word tycoon, that's why I think it's Jacques and not Ironwood. Also, the fact that Ironwood has way too much to deal with right now. He is the general. He's also still a headmaster. He's so paranoid. He's got the embargo to deal with. Just about every kingdom wants to slit his throat. So, also on that vein, I'm not sure if they called for aid from Vacuo that Vacuo would come. Because at this point,
Yeah.
I feel like Vacuo is keeping their hands very clean from all of this. At this point, they're just like, I don't, you guys just work that out. We don't want to be,
Yeah,
we're not involved.
but we do have to remember because of the embargo, probably the condition for them being like, you come help us and we'll give you dust. Because right now
Could
they're
be,
not giving dust to anybody.
yeah,
So
could
like
be.
they could be so desperately in need of dust that they're like, okay.
Mm. Exactly. Control is much easier when you have money and power, and their loyalty can be bought. Exactly. $10 Jacques would slash taxes on the STC if elected. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't want that. Jacques Schnee not for president.
Jacques Schnee for death,
Yes, please.
2020.
I am just so looking forward to Weiss utterly eviscerating her family. Just I hate that Whitley is in the intro. At this point I almost hate Whitley more than I hate Jacques, and I don't really know why. But Whitley is just essentially a tiny Jacques, and I know he's a
Yeah, but
child, and his father's manipulated him to be like that.
mhm,
But he was so vindictive towards Weiss, and like just the whole way that he went about that, I was like, you little shit. Like, you
yeah.
made my girl cry, and I cannot forgive that. But
Mhm.
Jacques did slap my girl, so like I want him dead.
Uh, I here's the thing. The only thing that keeps me from hating Whitley super much is I still think he can be redeemed. He can still.
Mm,
I think that Winter and Weiss could potentially like show him the way because
mm,
he's still so young. He's got to be like 15. Like
mm.
he's little boy Oscar's age.
I don't share your optimism. Let's put it that way.
Listen, listen, I was also, you didn't believe me back in Volume 4 when the second I saw Whitley, I went evil. And you were like, no, no, no. And then
Yes, I
cut to
did.
the end of the volume, and I was like, he's evil. I
He
told
seemed
you.
like such a sweet boy, and then he turned. You need a lot of de-brainwashing. This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacques. I feel like the reason he's like Jacques as well isn't just because Jacques conditioned him that way. I feel like it's probably in his character. Um,
Well, I also think he's so isolated is the problem. Because, like, he's so trapped, like, he doesn't have any worldly experience for anything. So what daddy says is right. Like, and, maybe he just needs a good traumatizing experience with the Grim to, like, really make him think.
Yeah, because he has said on more than one occasion, huntsmen and huntresses are useless. I'm not jealous of your powers at all. And it's like, yes, you
Yeah.
are, but he's obviously jealous. But yeah, I feel like shoving him out into the middle of a fight might literally slash some sense into him. I hope so. Um, but I'm, yeah, they. I suddenly wish Whitley had longer hair to dramatically flip. You're welcome. So I feel like the intro, the fact that they show Jacques and Whitley and then immediately show Weiss and Winter, um, and Winter's in the final shot with everybody there. Um, I'm still praying and hoping that Winter is going to be on Weiss's side. I don't see why she wouldn't. Um, but
Well, that's
I'm worried about how much Ironwood has been whispering in Winter's ear. But I feel like Weiss is the only person who could come in and be like, "This is the actual situation, and and we need your help, and this is what's really going on." And Weiss is probably the only person in the world that can convince Winter that Ironwood is full of shit, or that he's paranoid or whatever. Because I feel like
yeah.
Winter has had so much time away from Weiss and with Ironwood, and Ironwood has been saying things in her ear and probably convincing her that everything that they're doing is necessary, when really it's doing the opposite of what he wants it to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I almost, because I really think that the theme of this volume is kind of going to be like the rise of fascism,
mm,
because like Atlas, I've always thought like Atlas is very much like right on the verge of fascism. Like they've already, like, they're led by a military figure. Like it's already so authoritarian kind of that I'm like, it wouldn't, I think that the theme could be fascism, and having Winter be almost sympathetic to that could be an interesting way to explore how, like, fascism seduces people
mm,
to it, and, like, then having maybe Weiss needing to help guide Winter out of, like, like needing to trust people and stuff like that.
yeah, I agree. So,
Because I mean, you were right about the one thing is, like, she sees this as she's helping keep people safe. She's keeping Atlas strong and keeping people safe, and she doesn't see how, like, authoritarian it is, really.
yeah, and Winter at her core is a soldier.
Hmm.
Soldiers are trained to follow orders, and she trusts Ironwood. She trusts her sister as well, but she hasn't had her sister's influence around her. So she trusts Ironwood. So she just thinks, well, he says this is necessary, so it must be. Why would I question him? I've trusted him for years, um, and she is his soldier, so she's just gonna do what she's told until she's told differently, and
Yeah.
Weiss can come in and sort of shake the pot, and then Winter has to decide what she's going to
Hmm.
do. So,
Uh, yeah. Well, Unicorn says that to be fascist, that requires of them to oppress, and we don't know how Ironwood feels about Faunus. I don't think it's the Faunus. I think he's going to be oppressing Mantle. I think it's going to be Atlas versus Mantle.
mm-hmm, I think so.
Especially just with, like, the like election
Do
thing.
you imagine like a civil war between the city of Mantle and the city of Atlas?
That was Sydney's best Sid, she was predicting that before the volume started. She was like, you know, civil war, yeah, like.
And like just the last shot of the intro screams that Team RWBY, like you said, are going to be leading a revolution. Like they're on Team Mantle and they're like, "Fuck Atlas, let's go," you know,
Mhm.
let's
Well, and I think that that's kind of
storm the
gonna be.
castle.
I think that's going to be the theme of the season is because like they're gonna like because Ironwood's going to be doing good things like and I think that it's going to become like finding this weird like Ironwood's doing good things, but then you know so is Robin, and it's going to be like this weird like who's good, who's bad, and where's the line and stuff like that. I feel like that's kind of going to be the big exploration potentially of the season.
I know that at the recent RWBY panel, I forget which convention it was only a few weeks ago, that they did say that the line between friend and foe this volume was going to be very blurry.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so that gives us an idea of like, I mean, I have always been on the fence about Ironwood because I'm like, I
Hmm.
know he is deep down a good person and just wants to do what's best and what's right,
Hmm.
but he is going about it
He's a
all of the
control
wrong
freak,
ways,
though.
and he's a control freak and he's paranoid and he doesn't trust anyone, and that's a big problem for him. You got to be able to
Hmm.
trust people, and that was one of Oz's big problems, is that he can't trust anyone, and that bit him in the ass with Team RWBY because he didn't trust them enough with the truth, and then they found out anyway because people will always find out the truth. And
Hmm.
like, trust is a huge thing. You have to give somebody your trust, in order for you to work together. So, you know, it's just hydrate. It's where everyone gets along and nothing bad happens. That's not going to be this season. Let's go. This is not volume
Yeah.
one. Oh, even nobody got along in volume one either. What am I talking about? Volume two.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, there was quite a lot of like Blake yelling,
yeah. And his
but I
biggest
mean that was
problem
probably
is
the
that
most.
he thinks strength brings victory. His answer to every problem is tanks and more tanks, when he should trust love. Exactly. And that's what I love about the intro is, and the song in the intro is that it's at its core, it really comes down to, if we can't trust anybody else, we have to trust ourselves and trust each other. And this sort of incredible bond that teams RWBY and Juniper with the new edition share, and the love and the trust that they share with each other. Because at the end of the day, they know that no matter who, you know, they can't trust anybody else, but they can absolutely trust each other. And as long as they stick together, then, you know, they can take on whatever is going to be thrown at them. Um, and they always know that they have each other to fall back on.
Is
And
it skipping frames right now?
my
Because
Twitch is buffering, so that's
yeah,
probably
mine
what
is
it
as
is.
well. So I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, I think it was just skipping frames. Don't mind that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It wasn't dropping them, at
Okay.
least.
Yeah, there we go.
Pick your frames up. Yeah, it was just skipping. Because I didn't move the mouse. So, on that note, let's go through some of the sort of events of the chapter. Um, I thought that was me. No, it's just my stupid computer. So I want to mention a couple of things. So there's a fan theory going around about the crater behind the lower city of Mantle. Some people are theorizing that it's one of the meteors that the gods, when they destroyed the moon, that came down and destroyed the planet, that meteor shower. But, we were thinking originally that it was just the crater left behind by the city of Atlas, because that's floating in the sky now. So that
Hmm.
had to come from somewhere. So, yeah, there's a fan theory going around about that, but yeah, I think it's probably just the bottom of Atlas, that it actually used to be on the ground and is now in the sky for some reason. So, I still don't understand how that works. Lots of gravity dust, I guess, but...
Hmm.
Speaking of gravity dust, there's the... I've forgotten the name of the arena.
Amity Arena.
Amity Arena. God, there's even a mobile game called that, and I couldn't remember.
Hmm.
There's Amity Arena in the background of the final shot of the intro, and they did mention it in the chapter as well.
Hmm.
That Amity Arena was brought back to Atlas, and then they retrieved Penny from there, which makes a lot of sense. Because why would they go all the way to freaking Vale to get Penny? They wouldn't. So, it used to be Amity Coliseum, but it got renamed as an Easter egg. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that one's there in the background. So I'm wondering if it's gonna have any kind of importance, or if it's just sort of gonna be there in the sky, kind of like the moon, just sort of being ominous and shit. reminding us
Yeah.
and paralleling Volume 3 as well. I hope not.
Mhm.
Please don't. Um,
I mean, I could see Amity Arena almost being used as like almost like
oh yeah,
potentially like
you
a
had this
giant
great
ass
theory.
nuke to
Yeah,
drop on Mantle. Like,
cut off the gravity dust, like shut it down or destroy
mhm,
it, and that thing will fall, and it's going to be devastating. So you want to just fall during the fall of Beacon. I
mhm.
wouldn't be utterly shocked if they
Yeah, I
ended.
honestly that was what I thought because with all the dust they were gathering, I'm like they're gonna set off an explosion and they're gonna, you know.
Mm, I wouldn't be shocked if they ended the volume with Amity Arena crashing to the Earth. Um,
Or-
Earth. I wouldn't be shocked if this volume ends badly, and
oh
and
yeah.
sets a precedence for Volume 8. And I was kind of expecting a darker intro for Volume 7, but more like Volume 3. But now that we've gotten such a light and upbeat one, I'm like, okay, next volume I think is going to be a little darker. I
Mhm.
think we'll still
I
be in
think
Atlas by next volume.
Yeah, I think that this volume is going to have a very similar progression in tone, the way Volume 3 did almost,
Might get darker
where
towards
I
the
think
end.
it's just going to slide down.
Hey, Malicious, I'm a little quiet. Probably because
And
I'm
I'm
talking
blasting.
quietly.
Oh.
Hold on, let me turn my CF up. There we go. Um, okay. Yeah, it's just probably because I'm not screaming like I normally am.
That's true.
Feels Volume 7 is going to slowly descend into darkness, so Volume 8 will be the siege and fall of Atlas. I definitely think Atlas is going to fall. I think it's going to be necessary for Atlas to fall.
Hmm.
I was on the
I
fence
de-
about Haven, but I think it's going to be necessary for Atlas to go down. I think it has to happen in order for the world to move forward.
yeah.
Um,
I definitely see this volume like ending with like in fire, like in
disaster. Yeah,
flames.
disaster, for sure. It is already on the brink of civil war. Like, everyone in Mantle is being oppressed and being literally, like, you know, short of being house arrested. People are still allowed to roam the streets, but there's, you know, androids everywhere, and you know, like the soldier androids, not like penny androids.
The Elysian Knights.
That's the ones. I couldn't think of their names. Um, can you guys hear me better now, by the way? How well they handled Mantle's world building in just one episode. I know, and doesn't it look gorgeous? It looks
Mm,
incredible. This volume, there were
yeah.
three things that I noticed that were significantly improved from last volume, and they were the lighting, the textures, and the background detail. So the lighting, the first thing I noticed was Maria's goggles. They were like literally glowing, whereas last
Mhm,
volume they weren't really doing that. They sort of were, but not really.
mhm,
But they were glowing with this luminescent light, and then all of the light from the heat lamps in the streets, and then there was the heat signatures coming off of them as well, and the steam, and like just particle effects that we haven't really seen with the show before. And just the like the color palette of the lighting, very orange and very blue, and bits of green as well. It's like a very different color palette to what we saw in the previous volume. The lighting looks incredible. The textures look incredible. The just like if you look at the buildings and the roads, just and the cobblestone like footpaths, sidewalks, um, just like the just detail in the textures, and the all the detail in the background, the puddles in the street were not only did they have depth and actually look like wet like water, they also reflected all of the buildings, and I was like, that is crazy attention to detail that just didn't exist in previous volumes. And
mhm.
I just,
Well,
yeah,
like one thing
so
you
pretty.
pointed out to me was that like Mantle had all those like heat lamps
Mm.
everywhere because like we
It's
forget like
freezing.
this is Antarctica basically,
Yeah,
like it's freezing
there's heat lamps
and
just
but there's no
casually in the street. Yeah.
mhm. But then like they also had like heat waves coming
Yeah,
off of them
yeah, the
like
heat waves. They had these awesome particle effects, and it looks like when you look at a heater in real life, and there's that almost invisible sort of you know signature coming off of them that you can just barely see with your eyes, and that's how it looks in the show. And I'm like, holy shit, man, that is such attention to detail. It's a detail that they didn't have to add, like, but they did, and it just looks really good, and it's like really believable, and you instantly see that and you go, oh, that's heat, like it's a heat lamp. Otherwise it would just look like a weird orange light in the street. um,
Mhm.
but yeah, like the posters of Robin in the background, that it's just a thing that exists in this world. Yeah, the background detail and like um, just the world building that they've gone to for Mantle. I hope we're gonna stay in Mantle for a while, because I would hate for all of that work to go into just a couple of chapters.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we're gonna be seeing quite a lot of it.
mm, yeah, Mantle's probably the best location. I would say it's the most work has gone into that one, except for maybe
Mhm.
the Amity Coliseum. That's the only other sort of set I can think of that might have had the same level of effort. Argus was
I
a
was gonna say
huge
Argus.
build.
Argus is still my favorite. I
Argus
like
is
art
beautiful. I love Argus.
gorgeous.
I'm so
Like
sad we only got such
I
a small
know.
amount of time with Argus, because it was such a gorgeously built city. Um, but yeah, Mantle is really, really impressive. And I love the lights in all of the windows, and just the color palette is just really dark and like, but also warm at the same time, and also cold. I don't know how they've managed to do that. Like, it looks like a cold place, but then you've got all the warm heat lamps, and like it's really dark and it feels really cold. All the people are cold, but you know, it's San Francisco vibes. Yeah, with Argus. I'm not really sure where the inspiration comes from for Mantle, um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more of it, because they have outdone themselves with this set for sure. So yeah, that's that. Oh, the other thing I noticed was there's the aurora borealis in the sky in some of the
Mhm.
shots, the northern lights, which is really cool, and I think this gives such like a technology fueled city, like such an industrial city, this naturally beautiful backdrop,
Mhm.
and it's
Well,
such a contrast to
yeah.
the city itself.
I just loved that shot where we saw it anyway because like you could also see the giant ass shadow
Of Atlas, yeah.
that Atlas is literally casting over
Mm.
Mantle.
It so
Like,
reminds me of Alita Battle Angel, in that there's the lower city and the higher city, and it's exactly the same with Atlas and Mantle, and like people down on the ground are just looking up at the shadow of the city all the time.
mhm.
And it's, yeah, it's creating such like, it's such foreshadowing, literal foreshadowing. um, and yeah, this gorgeous like natural backdrop of the mountains and the snow and the aurora borealis over this technologically fueled, really, really corrupt city. Like, the corruption, unreal. We've only been in it for 5 seconds. Stop skipping frames, you turd. Meh. Stop it. I'm gonna leave that open so I can see when it does that.
There it goes.
Yeah, stupid, stupid thing.
Mhm.
Stop it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
Let's put
like
that.
that is also one thing you said is and Nora mentioned this, which I think is a nice clue at things to come in the future is about like Mantle is supposed to be or Atlas is supposed to be a symbol of hope, and she said unless you're the one having to look up at it, like
Mm,
it doesn't at that point it doesn't really become a symbol of hope for you. It becomes a symbol of oppression or a
mm.
symbol of your lower status almost that
Yeah.
you're less than them kind of a thing. And I think that's an interesting clue at what we could potentially learn about Nora this volume with because like we know she was homeless
Need to
and stuff but
deactivate that timer. Don't mind me. That's
nope
supposed to be on
whoops.
for next week.
uh,
Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, you were saying. Continue.
I'm wondering if maybe Nora was originally from Atlas because she it seemed weirdly personal how like her disdain for Atlas almost
Mm.
because like even though like obviously we meet her as a young child in was it Kuro Yuri
Yes.
so like she obviously had to make her way to Mistral to be able to meet up with Ren but like who's to say maybe she wasn't born in Atlas? Especially given how, she's kind of she's Thor and the whole like Scandinavian thing. Like
Yeah.
coming from the ice place makes some sense.
Yeah, the question is though, how would she have gotten from Atlas to Mistral? Yeah,
Yeah,
not sure.
that would be the big question.
With the White Fang, not that we're gonna see. I think we're so far removed from the White Fang at this point that it's kind of irrelevant. We know that they're working on it in the background. I think it's going to be important again later, but not right now. Agile
I see.
Dinosaur with
Yeah, I was.
Gamble Shroud. Jean will have a cup from Pyrrha's weapon still and using a super. Now, I had another question relating to this in that Jean's armor is changing again this volume. Um,
Mhm. It's
how does
he's
that
getting more
work?
here.
Yeah, and the chest plate is different as well.
Hmm.
So I'm like, how does that
He
work?
also
Is
I
he
point.
just reforging it, or
Mhm.
because he
Well,
made
I
it with
also pointed out
Pyrrha's
that
shield?
he
So
his shield also gets an upgrade with hard light dust,
yeah, yeah, in the
and
Saturn
so
intro.
yeah.
But I'm
But
wondering, like, how's he reforging his chest piece? Because he made it with Pyrrha's shield. So,
mhm,
um, yeah, I'm sure that they're gonna address it, but just not really sure how that's gonna work.
mhm.
But with Gamble
But yeah,
Shroud, I think it's just a matter of simply just reforging it,
yeah.
not
Well, I mean, we
necessarily.
see that she has the little gold line where the thing is. So a lot of people are thinking that she's going to, take something from like, Yang's arm or, something like that
Okay,
to
it's definitely yellow,
reforge it.
first of all, not gold,
Now let's
and
go.
I think it's just paint.
Why would she paint where she reforged it? Because it's such a weird shape. Like, why would it? It feels like they needed like a metal to put there, and yeah, like we already see that Yang's getting a new arm upgrade. So like, who's to
Yeah,
say that they couldn't take
maybe,
some stuff from that and be like,
maybe. Sword
and
was
also
cast
because
from
the
dark armor.
bees.
Chisels worthy enough to wield Mjolnir. I don't know. But yeah, the bees. I mean, that's obviously the biggest reason. But like, yeah,
Mhm.
Blake's katana is definitely getting longer this volume. So when she reforges it, it's definitely longer than it was before. Um, but also, I think that it shrunk in size from volume one to where we
Yeah,
were last volume, and then now it's gonna be a bit longer. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they'll get to it in the next couple of chapters. I don't think they're going to be in their current state for long. In fact, I'm wondering if they're going to get their new stuff next chapter, because
I want a
if they
shopping montage.
go see Ironwood and chat to him, he might be like, "Oh, you know your weapons are broken and shit. Here, go take my money. Go get new
Mhm.
stuff." And like, I'm wondering if that's how that's going to play out. Um, and then at the end of
Because they're
next
all going
chapter,
for much more professional looking.
yeah.
Like, so I'm wondering if he's like, ugh, you guys can't be looking this homeless. Like,
I mean,
clean yourselves up.
Weiss's dress, she literally got stabbed with that dress on. So I think at this point she needs to ditch that damn dress. I still am mad that she fixed it too. Like, it was covered in blood. You don't just wash that shit out. It doesn't happen. Um, do you think we'll see Blake dual wield again? I definitely think so. Yeah, for
I
sure.
think so. The thing I want to see Weiss do time dilation again.
Oh my god, please. It's been so long. Um, get in, losers. We're going weapon shopping. Love it. Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Ironwood is
yeah.
now Regina George.
I mean, he was
Don't you
always
laugh, you
Regina
haven't fucking
George.
seen it.
I know enough.
No, you don't. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Again, with the Jon Snow. I
Mhm.
prefer the
Been
stronger
talking about him a
bows
lot
in
this.
Weiss's new outfit. I am in love with Weiss's new outfit. I just don't think it's very practical. It's
I
such a
told you
long, long dress, and like, I'm like, it's gonna get in her way and be a hindrance, and also it just doesn't look as good in engine as it does in the concept art, and I'm devastated. I knew it was gonna be that way, but like, it really does. Like, this white skirt really doesn't look very nice in engine. It doesn't look very flowy at all. It looks very stiff,
Mhm.
which is the
I
opposite of
mean, the bits
what
we've
you
seen
want.
of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to
So
be any surprises on that front, though.
yeah.
I think it's just going to look that way all volume and bother me, so that's fine. Um, it will probably be in the next chapter or the one after, otherwise I worry Blake will end up hypothermic. Um, so, like, with the like skin that Weiss and Yang are showing in their outfits. I think for Yang, definitely her thigh is just kind of bare and out. But I'm wondering if Weiss is like wearing skin colored like tights or something, where her legs are exposed. Because otherwise, bitch is gonna freeze. Surely, the thighs are the one thing you don't want to expose the frosty air. Like the thighs and the vagina. Don't expose that area. That's cold, man. So yeah, I'm wondering if there's like, and especially when I cosplay it, I know I'm gonna wear skin colored tights because I'll be freezing otherwise. So oh my god, I'm still thinking about the fact that I have to make that costume. There's 2 dresses. Ugh.
Don't think about it.
I'm trying not to. It's gonna be so painful. Especially since it's so cold in Atlas, it will probably be in the next chapter or the one after. Otherwise, I won't Blake. Yeah. Exactly.
I can't see them dragging it out more than. It depends on how the next episode goes because we know it's 18 minutes long. So like, it depends on how long they talk to Ironwood.
It's just as long as this chapter was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this chapter felt very short though.
it did feel really short.
It was like a decent length, but it was a quick. I mean, granted, we only got like 15 minutes of actual episode.
Yeah, not a lot actually happened. So like they literally like they were in the airship, then they landed, then they spoke to Pietro, then they met Penny. There was a grim fight,
and then they got arrested.
And they got arrested, and it was over. And I was like, the pace was quite slow. So not that it was too slow, but it was bordering on too slow for a premiere. When Chibi comes back, they should make a joke about Yang getting mad and then making s'mores on her hair.
They already did that.
They did that already. I was gonna say they've already done that in Chibi. That I don't know what season, but it's definitely been done.
Yeah,
maybe Blake doesn't
I think it was.
Care about weather. I think in Yang's case, I think Yang's blood probably just runs a bit hotter than most people. So I feel like her having a thigh out isn't going to be that big of a deal for her, and she's not as wrapped up as the other ones are. But for Weiss, I mean, she's used to the climate, so if she's got a bit of skin showing, it kind of makes sense. Ruby is covered, but she's got mesh on her chest. Again, not an area you want to be cold. And I'm like, you've got mesh there. Why? Your legs are covered, everything else is covered, just not your chest? What a strange area to not cover. But Blake, like, her catsuit, I mean, she's gonna be fine. Her freaking arms are out, though. The zippers are open and her forearms are out, and that makes me feel cold looking at it. My bad, must have missed it. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one where they're giving her shit while they're playing video games. And then she's like, ah!
And then they're roasting marshmallows on her head. Yeah. Definitely remember that, yeah. So, what were we talking about? I don't know. I mentioned Crow's voice. I mentioned that it feels like the entire city of Mantle is under martial law. That's basically exactly what's going on. It's like wartime, except there's no war going on. So, it's just paranoid, bloody Ironwood just preparing for a war that isn't coming, and he's going to bring it about by preparing for it before it happens. So, there's that.
That's got to be that's his story. Is going to be learning to trust others.
Yeah, drunk man, cousin of shady man, Norwest tossing racist. Yeah, we're getting to that. So structure, Thomas, Jesus. So I've got here about Weiss's anxiety, like when right at the beginning, when they're in the airship. She's like going on this stream of consciousness about like, why is the air fleet out like this? Oh God, like we're not going to be able to land. We're in a stolen ship. They'll take me back to my dad. And like, that's the first thing her brain jumps to is like, she does not want to go back to her dad. And it's her biggest anxiety with coming back to Atlas, understandably. And I'm like, I feel for her so bad. And I'm like,
yeah,
don't take her back to her papa. Give her a new outfit and then like, you know, a badass attitude, and then go back and, you know, we'll deal with Jacques later.
Yeah, then they'll kill him and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to kill him. I want them to, but it's not going to happen. I'm guessing Atlas just doesn't care about Mantle. Yeah, I would say so. They were just
the thing I was mostly wondering about that is like, you know, Penny says she's the protector of this city, so it's like, is it almost to the point where Atlas is like, Penny will deal with it, like,
Probably, yeah.
and like in Penny's there to deal with the Grim, whereas the AK, the Elysian Knights are there to keep like the peace. Like they're more police officers, and Penny is just like the huntsman.
Mm. Yes, Yang's hair looks absolutely beautiful. Even that little bit that we got to see it in Volume 6, I was like, oh my god, it's gorgeous. And then it's in the intro, and I'm like, I can't wait to see more of Yang's hair being all fiery and shit, because it looks so pretty. And what an animating nightmare.
Oh yeah.
They're going to use it sparingly, because it's going to be very, very difficult to do.
I was kind of
Frame
surprised to
rate
see it
is
in the intro because I was like, I mean, they saved it up for 3 volumes last time. I'm like, are they really going to give it to us like
I
again? I
feel like
mean,
a lot of the reason they saved it up though is they mentioned that like they couldn't figure out how to do it and make it look good. Um, so they eventually got to a place in Volume 6 where they got it looking how they wanted it to look. Um, glad the fire hair is back, yeah. And also it was a lot to do with Yang's development as a character that she didn't use her semblance for a good couple of volumes. Um, in that she needed to learn how to survive without it because she was so relying on it before. So
plus also I'm sure there was just like a lot of PTSD almost involved with using her semblance again.
yeah,
Because, like she activated her semblance and then bad things happened.
yeah,
So
terrible things happened.
I can see why she might even be hesitant to try to use it
Yeah, the
after
last
that, especially after what her dad was telling her about, like, this is your crutch,
it's your crutch and
to
you need to
quote,
stop leaning on it. Yeah.
to quote Mercury's father.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the last time she used a semblance, she woke up and she was missing an arm, and everybody she loved was gone. So, there's got to be a lot of negative association for her with using it. In Volume 5, the moment of its return against Adam would not have been as amazing or satisfying. Exactly. And
Volume 6.
I'm glad they left it for a point where they got it to look as beautiful as it did look.
Yeah.
I only saw it so briefly because, again, I'm like, it must be such a nightmare to animate that. So, yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, but they've done it once, so they have the reference for it, so it'll be easier to, emulate.
Yeah, exactly. And
But yeah,
the last time
she should be back to just using it all the time.
It was like such an extreme close up that the detail had to be so vivid on it. But now if they use it in more wider shots, they can get away with not doing as much detail. I've got Ironwood needs to shave. Yep. The beard is a thing, and I do not like it.
You don't like the Iron Daddy beard?
I don't like beards on men in general. Like, I mean, unless you're Hugh Jackman, go away. Like, seriously. Nobody but Wolverine should be having a beard like that. As long as we get something from Klein. I forgot about Klein!
I forgot about Klein,
we
too.
We forgot about Klein!
I mean, here's the thing. He's dead.
No, he's not. Don't say such horrible things.
He helped Weiss escape. I'm so worried for him.
I have a feeling that maybe Jacques sacked him. And we might just see him randomly pop up at some stage because he hears that Weiss is in Atlas. Unless he could also still be at the SheNoob Manor. But I have a feeling that Jacques knows that Klein helped break Weiss out.
Oh, 100%.
He's smart enough to realize that. I think Jacques is smarter than we all give him credit for, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how would he have gotten to where he is? He's cunning and he's conniving. So, hey.
Hey, morning, Larissa.
It's 10:30. Holy shit. We need to hurry this up.
I know, we've hardly discussed... we've discussed a lot, but, not in order.
Okay, Maria Calavera stealing scenes since the beginning of Volume 6. Jeez, lady, take a hint. I'm like, oh, Maria, I freaking love you. Every time she opens her mouth, it's hilarious. And I'm like, she can have one line in an entire chapter, and she steals the whole chapter. You sent me something on Twitter. I'm scared. What do you mean you sent me something on Twitter?
And Maria, just every time she speaks, I'm like, gold. Oscar worthy.
So we saw
beautiful.
The chapter in the title, the thumbnail and the title for the next episode. Atlas needs you. What the heck is this? Enroll at Atlas Academy. Top classes apply now. Oh, is this from the episode? Wait.
We haven't gotten to Penny or Pietro yet, Dodge.
Flint and Neon are in this. This thing that they posted on Twitter. That is 100% Flint and Neon. That is 1,000% them.
I need to see this. Where?
Larissa DM'd it to me. Hang on, I'll send it to you. It's on the official RWBY account. Hold on. Let me just. How do I send this to you?
I see it. Oh my god, what the?
Definitely
that's neon?
Neon. Yeah, that's neon for sure. Look at the freckles and the eye.
Yeah,
it's definitely
yeah. Neon. Whoa, that's freaky.
Yeah, I agree with Dawn. It's definitely Flint and Neon. Or
totally.
Like.
I mean, yeah, it has to be.
It's got to be them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It may be old photos of Flint and Neon, so like before how they looked in Volume 3.
I think that this would be newer photos.
Yeah, I think so. And like it's really stiff looking, and like I think that
I'm gonna post the link to this tweet in the chat just if people want to see it.
It does look like more in keeping with the feel of Atlas at the moment, of like really stiff and militarian. So basically saw Flint and Neon when they were on military leave. So yeah, basically.
I meant to, because we were gonna do a podcast about the trailer, and I meant to bring up Flint and Neon and all of them, but like with everything that happened this episode, I forgot about them.
Yeah, I forgot too. I forgot about Klein as well, and I'm mad that I forgot about Klein because I love him so much, and I can't wait to see him again. He's not dead. Don't you dare say those terrible things. Stop it. Stop with the tea. What of heat waves and lamps? Yeah. Oh, the graffiti on the roller door, as we call it.
Oh well, actually, you skip past the news board.
I didn't have that written down because I knew you wrote that.
Yeah. Well, the four like main articles that were on the news board were about missing journalists found slain, which someone in chat earlier mentioned that they thought that Tyrion might have done that.
Probably.
And I'm actually wondering if this isn't going to be like a thing that, Ironwood ordered, maybe.
I don't know.
Because like if they're really like moving in the like kind of fascist direction, that would be like a way to that silencing the news and stuff is obscuring the truth.
I don't think he's fully at that tyrant level yet where he's just going to kill people. I don't think that's in his nature yet.
Or if maybe it was something Aesop's did, or like.
Yeah, they don't strike me as the murdering type either.
Yeah, well, the other thing that I wondered is that because in the intro we see that moment of the like screen of James, and then it for a moment becomes
Jacques. Yeah.
Jacques. So I'm like, how much of James's actions are honestly like controlled by Jacques at this point? Yeah, like, I'm wondering if he's almost puppeteering some stuff himself.
I'm wondering about the symbolism of that because people were throwing rocks at James and then it briefly became Jacques. So I'm wondering if that is signifying a power shift from James to Jacques in the volume. He isn't quite at judicial killing. God, I can't say the word level of nuts yet. Not yet. Yeah, but definitely possibility in his future, unfortunately. Yeah, but with the graffiti, it said, "Show me your teeth." Now, Blake was the only one who looked at it, and she made such a face that I was like, ooh. Like, she's the only, like, the little details like that she's the only one who turns and looks at it and then makes a face, like, an uncomfortable face. I'm like, it's that kind of detail that's like, I love those little things that they do. One thing that comes to mind from last volume is when they were chatting in the snow to Osborne about the relic and being like, Blake says, "Why does it matter who carries it?" Yang opens her mouth and goes to speak, and then Blake cuts her off. And I'm like, that is such an interesting little detail that they don't need to add at all. And that's one of these things for me is Blake just like noticing that and being like, oh. even though it's not a particularly racist like graffiti, but it's clearly like Faunus directed. So honestly, I feel Ironwood and Jacques are two sides of the same coin. Yeah, both would be awful, but it's just one's a corporatist garbage person, the other is nuts about growing the military. He's
Hmm.
paranoid, and paranoid people make stupid decisions. She
Yeah.
knows she could make better
Hmm.
graffiti.
Yeah. Well, I didn't finish on all the things that were on the news board. So there was the journalist, and then there was embargo, the right call,
I saw that.
outer wall damaged, and then Mantle Hometown Hero versus Atlesian Tycoon.
Mm.
And that's where we see also in that shot is where we see that her name is Robin Hill,
Yeah,
and it's ROBYN.
yeah, because it's Ruby. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
gotta have a Y. Um, but yeah, I'm interested in Robin. I'm interested to see her character, and
Mm-hmm.
also
She's Robin
I'm
Hood.
I'm also interested to ship her with Crow. I'm interested to ship everyone
I
with Crow.
Okay, listen, you and me were talking about this a couple days ago, and I'm like, my God, Crow is getting so laid this
I
volume
don't care who
because
buy, but like he has
because
options.
we've got James, we've got Winter, we've got Clover, we've
I didn't
got
even think about Winter.
Robin. Like, I'm like, we've got too many ships to have with Crow right now. What are we doing?
Larissa, that is the same woman. That's the person we're talking about. Robin Hill is
Yeah.
the blonde girl in the intro with purple eyes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Robin Hill. So I think she's some kind of political candidate. She may be a huntress. I'm thinking, yeah, get with the program, Larissa. God, have fun in the corner of Remnant. By the way, we'll try and wrap up as soon as possible. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm interested in her character. But like the shipping potential for Crow this volume, I think that Clover is my number one right now, just because of the juxtaposition between him and Crow. Like he's luck and Crow's bad luck, and I'm like
Hmm.
my gay OTP now. I've seen Clover for 2 seconds interacting with Crow, and I'm like they are dating. Please fuck. I feel like there are enough crow ships, so we're just making a crow fleet. Exactly. Yes, SheNoob, Wi-Fi. Woo. That was so lame. I'm so sorry. I hate myself. I'm going right now. Goodbye. Okay, move on quickly. Yang versus the camera was hilarious.
Oh yeah, it
And you
was.
noticed that the camera is floating with gravity dust.
Yeah.
Little gravity
I
dust like
just
jets.
I love gravity dust. So whenever I see it, I'm like, gravity dust, it's
Yeah.
there. It's floating, I see it.
Mm. Yes, I do love gravity dust. I think it's my favorite kind of dust, just because of the practicality of it. Like they use it so practically in like
Hmm.
infrastructure and just general everyday life. And Maria's weapons are probably my favorite weapons. They are so cool. The
Hmm.
way that she used the gravity dust with those, not anymore. The way that she used it, I just love the way that gravity dust works, and like the way Weiss uses it with their glyphs, and uh, just such a cool dust. I think it's the most versatile of all the dust types,
Yeah.
because everything else is just like ice and fire and earth and lightning, and I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, boring. We've seen those before. Gravity dust is
Hmm.
different, and it has practical uses, and it's like so. I like gravity dust.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I
Yeah,
love
you
gravity
get it.
dust
You're
too.
on the same page. So like gravity dust, yes, best dust. Fight me.
Hmm.
Um, the no fauna signs everywhere. We encountered them
Yeah.
in Mistral a little bit, like the one time. But yeah, there are no
It
fauna
makes a lot more
signs.
sense that they would have them here, especially because I feel like they're really gonna be focusing a lot more on the faunus this
Yeah.
volume. Whereas, like, the stuff that they threw in Mistral, like, it was an attempt. It kind of sucked,
Mm,
but like, it was an attempt, and I feel like they can do better now.
yeah.
And this is just like an interesting way to introduce that.
Here's the thing about Mantle. There are so many faunas there because they work in the mines, and every single human in Mantle is, well, not every single human, but almost every human we've met so far is racist towards the faunas, and it's a city full of them. So I'm like,
Hmm.
the faunas are literally living in a place where they are oppressed, and like um just um people are racist right to their faces, and like there's no
Yeah.
fauna signs on the buildings in a city full of faunas, and it's like, at some point they're going to stop putting up with that shit, and I think that's going to happen very soon. I really
Mm-hmm.
want it to. I want Blake to just like lead a Faunus like revolution in Mantle and be like, "Fuck this shit."
See, like that's why I'm like, this volume is ending in revolution. Blake's gonna be leading all the faunus, and Ruby's gonna be helping with the political stuff, and Yang will be, I don't know, maybe she's got the party people, I don't know.
Oh my god, can you
And Weiss
imagine
will just be
Ruby?
like, I'm paying everybody, and they're like,
Can you
yeah,
imagine Ruby as a politician? She'd be like, Fridays are, you know, colorful dress
cookie
day
day.
for cookie day for everybody. I could definitely see Weiss becoming more of a politician, even though she would hate it. She
Oh
would be
yeah,
good
no,
at it. That's not what she
nah, she's
wants, but
she's gonna she's gonna run the SheNoob company.
yeah, for sure. But along with that comes a lot of political sort of, Jacques is basically a politician because he
But
controls dust in.
that's because he's super corporate,
Yeah.
whereas I feel like she'll be much more like Nicholas Schnee
Mm,
with the like, I'm just like protecting my people and like making fair trade deals and
mm,
growing my business and helping the world.
mm. They won't. It's probably a case where our legions know if they can get the humans in Mantle to hate the Faunus, they won't think to blame the rich people who make the rules. That is a very
Yeah.
good point. Very
Hmm.
good point. On the note of racism, Weiss, I continue to stand for Weiss sticking up for Blake when people are racist towards her. And like last volume when, Cordovan
What's that supposed to mean?
poked it and she's like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And I'm like, "Yes, Queen, you defend that girl that you used to hate so much because she was you guys butted heads all the time." But even as soon as like Weiss found out that Blake was a Faunus, she thought about it and she was just like, "Yeah, I don't really care. You're still my teammate."
Hmm.
Even though she was going in with such prejudice towards the Faunus that came from where she lived and how she grew up. But now she's at the point where she is literally throwing guys in dumpsters because they make one rude comment towards Blake about her
Hmm.
species. And
Yeah.
she's like, "It was worth it." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
it was completely worth it, Wise."
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I loved that section
Mm,
because I also liked, Blake. Blake clearly like she's dealt with this 1,000 times. Like
mm-hmm.
she was like, I apologize, and was like, let's not make a scene. Like, she kind of, she knew it would just make things worse if they, were like, hey, you go fuck yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
You know.
Even Ruby was
Um.
like, "Hey," and she was about to like, start something, and Blake's like, "Don't, not worth it.
Mhm.
We can't cause the scene because we're here illegally, bitch." Like,
Yeah. Hmm. And then that was the thing though, is then when Weiss does that, I am like people. I saw some people who were like, "Ugh, it's so weird. Why would she blah blah blah?" That thing she did is gonna have consequences
yeah,
because that drinking buddy
recognized
recognized
her.
her
Yeah,
because he said, "Wait, that's your." And then he falls down, and then he looks up at the thing of Winter Schnee,
yeah, he
and
knows
I'm
who she
like,
is.
he knows.
And this is the
There
thing.
is a person out there who knows Weiss Schnee is back in Atlas.
Yeah, this is the thing. She's come to a city where everybody is going to know who she is. Because I'm sure she's been on television. She's, such a huge figure. She was the heiress to the Schnee Dust Company. She's been to events. Everybody in the city is going to know who she is and recognize her. So she's going to have that to deal with. At some point, word is going to get back to Jacques that she's in Atlas. Um, so, like, I don't think she's really thought this through very well.
Hmm.
But I guess also at that point, it doesn't really matter if she does stuff like that because people are going to recognize her anyway. Um, I can see the press spinning Weiss being pro Faunus as a negative and it's somehow affecting Jacques' campaign. Yeah, possibly. Um, Again, on the note of Faunus, that adorable little bear Faunus that comes out of Pietro's shop,
My
I love
daughter,
her.
I
She is my
stan.
baby. She is my favorite. I freaking love her. She's the cutest little thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Um,
Yeah, I've always. I think she is she the second bear faunus we've ever seen, or is she
I
the
think so.
third?
No, I think she's the second. Yeah, I can only
Because
think of one other.
the only other one was in literally episode 1 of the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like I've always wanted to meet bear faunus because like I was telling you this, the only OC I've ever put any effort into making for Ruby is a bear faunus.
A red
So like
panda
as soon as
faunus.
I
Ah, that's
oh,
so
but
cute.
so like the second I saw her, I was like, my child, I love
Mm.
you.
Yep, I'm in
And I'm
love.
glad everyone else in the fandom felt the same way because I was like, because I just love bears in general. So I was like, and then to see everybody else was also like our daughter. I was like, okay, everybody loves her. Thank God.
Sorry, I'm just noticing a lot of tweets popping up that don't have the hashtag in them, and I'm just trying to figure out why.
Yeah, I've been seeing them, and I was like looking at the Twitter to try to see like was there a thread started of something that I not that I saw. So I was like, what are these
Oh, I
things
see
coming?
what's happened. Hold on, let me fix this. Instead of typing at the Boopcast, I just typed in at mention because I'm an idiot. So I'm getting every single tweet that's an at mention on Twitter. So yay, or at least most of them anyway. Okay, so I've fixed that now, so that should stop happening. So
Okay.
I'm only getting at the Boopcast and hashtag Boopcast now. So, sorry about that. Look, I'm still working out the kinks here.
Yeah.
Uh, so Red Panda Forest. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I thought that she reminded me of a koala, and that's adorable because like my art for my channel and stuff is a koala fauna. So I love it so much. It's so cute. Um, her since it's Ruby, her arm is also gone. Yeah. And like Pietro making a stink about Yang painting her arm when that faunus has a black arm. I'm like, okay. Listen, she can't be the only one to ever have painted her mechanical
I don't
limb.
I don't think he was making a stink about it. I think he was just like, "Oh, you painted it."
No, he
Like,
definitely seemed a little offended. Like, you
oh,
painted it! like, how dare you mar my creation? But, like, I like Yang's arm. I think it looks cool.
I know. I was like, if he is offended by it, well then get your eyes fixed, dude, because it looks
Mm.
great.
On the subject of Pietro, my god, was he obvious.
Oh yeah. The second they walked in there, I was like, it's her dad.
I literally, like, I was sitting there reacting with Larissa. I saw him and I went, my god, you are so familiar. And then it hit me, and I was like trying to say it the whole scene, but they kept talking, and I was like, I don't want to interrupt. And then, like, finally there was a break, and Larissa turned to me and goes, do you think that's Penny's dad? I was like, I've been trying to say that for 5 minutes. Like, it's definitely him. And yeah, the
Mm.
pink bow definitely was a
Yeah.
giveaway, but I
I
also
didn't
just
even realize
recognized
at
him.
first.
I just
Yeah, I just
recognized him from
recognized him
Volume
from Volume
3.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And
as
then
soon
when
as
he
I
walked
saw
out
him,
from behind the thing
and he
with
had the
the
wheelchair that had all
white,
the green and white and black on it, I was like, well, the walk
I
chair,
was like,
as I call it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't notice the whale until the second watch. I also didn't notice that until the second watch. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's really, you know, Ruby and its symbolism. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Pinocchio, hello. But yeah, I love his walking chair. It's absolutely amazing. What a creative way of like having something that's, not a wheelchair. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm wondering if he actually needs it to get around, or if it's just because, his legs don't work too well and he's just old.
Well,
But he's not that
I
old.
I have now that we've met him, I have a very large theory about him and Penny having like maybe some kind of genetic disease. And by Penny, I mean like his daughter Penny, not
Yeah.
the robot that is now Penny.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they share like a genetic condition
Mm.
and that she got it worse than Pietro did and that like to save her he put her in a robot body kind of a thing.
And it can go upstairs. Exactly. He can go up the
Mm.
stairs in that thing. It's great. But it's just so cool. And, like, it's just such a cool way of doing that. And, like, I want a walk chair that I just, cruise around in all the time. Like, it looks awesome. But, yeah, you've talked to me about your theory about Pietro, which I agree with, Pietro's daughter, essentially Penny having her aura, because we know that they had the
Mhm.
technology to transfer one person's aura to another. They were using it to try and transfer Amber's aura to Pyrrha. So that's what you think, and I agree that is going
That's
on
how
with
they
Penny,
made
because
Penny.
Penny has an aura. An aura is generated from a person's soul, as far as we know. So everybody has an aura. So the question is, did Pietro have an actual daughter who was, you know, like terminally ill and died, and her aura is Penny's aura? And she kind of lives on through Penny. Again, giving me Alita Battle Angel vibes. I'm getting such Alita from this volume, it's crazy. And yeah, so I thought her core generated her aura, but maybe if the theory checks out, the core just holds onto it. Yeah, that's what we're thinking, is that the aura holds. Her core holds the aura of a person who used to be alive. Yeah.
Because back during Volume 3 when they were talking about the thing with what was happening with Pura, like James was the one that says that they've never tested this on like transferring an aura between people, and he mentioned like being able to like I don't remember the exact wording, but like moving it to something else. And so it was like I thought like back then it was very clear that he was talking about that was how they made Penny. And so that was like why now that we've seen that, you know, Penny's dad is also disabled, it gives me like an idea of like, oh, maybe she had this disease that was, you know, she had no life expectancy and stuff, and he like wanted to give her a better life kind of a thing. And you know, he's a mad scientist, so he figured it out.
He's like Malo, but Malo's, you know, good brother who is like, you know, super nice and shit. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns evil, but you know. No worries, Heather. As a disabled person, it's super nice to have someone who's in a wheelchair. There's been an amazing amount of physical disabled representation in the show, but for most people it seems like it's just throwing a prosthetic and it's all's good. See, that's true because that's the time that they live in, and that they have these super technologically advanced prosthetics. But for him to be a disabled person would make a lot of sense of why he is going out of his way to make these prosthetic limbs for people who have lost limbs. And he's doing it for apparently nothing, because he volunteers at that place. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense that he's a disabled person, so he would want to help other disabled people in this way that he can. Yeah, I noticed there's a chalkboard in the background that had "Days Since Last Nonsense 0" written on it. I don't understand the reference there. I feel like it's a reference to something.
I feel like it's probably a reference to something as well, but I'm like, or maybe it's just funny that, like, you know, he's like, oh, this nonsense again.
I mean, he lives in Nashville, like, so like.
Yeah, because like we saw the one of the ceiling tiles fall on the floor. Like, oh, there's some more nonsense.
We had a lot of Watts foreshadowing here with Pietro, where he was like, you know, they're either a genius or one of our own, or probably both. I'm like, that's obviously Watts that they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's because at this point, it's very clear to like the audience that, you know, like Watts made the Queen virus. Maybe not super obvious, but like we figured it out.
We know he's
very
from
quickly.
Atlas. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and we know he's the disgraced Elysian scientist and stuff. Like it's pretty obvious to the audience, but they need to make it obvious to Team RWBY and everybody. Because although granted, they haven't met Watts, have they?
No.
No, yeah, because Watts was never, even when he was in Mistral, he only ever interacted with Raven.
I need that chalkboard for this fandom's events. Yeah.
Too true.
It will always be on 0. Sorry. It should be on -1, really.
Just
honestly. Anticipating the nonsense. The heroes don't even know of Watts' existence. Exactly, no, they don't know. I've gone through all of that. When Pietro says, my daughter, you know, told me so much about you, he like recognizes them. I'm just like, it was very obvious to me that Penny was about to be a thing that happened. So
yeah.
But yeah, I went into,
and he also he talked about her in the present tense. That I didn't catch that right away.
Yeah.
So
my daughter has told me so much about you.
Yeah, my daughters. Well, she said daughters told me, but you know, not the implied has is in there, not like had or she told me. She's told me.
Watts? No way. Tyrion? Possibly. Oh, this arc? Yeah. Oh yeah, both of them are gone. This arc. This volume, Tyrion possibly. Watts definitely not.
I could well, yeah, actually no, because Watts would be so behind the scenes
Yeah, he doesn't ever
that
like put himself in any direct danger. So,
he's basically the hacker guy. So
mm. um, yeah. So yeah, the my
mhm.
daughter thing, talking about her present tense. Like I went into this chapter expecting to see Penny, so I wasn't surprised when it happened. Um,
I mean, I was
this
expecting to see her this volume. I wasn't expecting to see her episode one.
I'm disappointed Tyrion hasn't had a makeover. He's had the same outfit since Volume 4 at this point.
uh,
And I'm like, nah, even
I mean,
Cory's
so is
getting a new
Watt.
outfit. So, yeah, so is Watts, but Watts has hardly been in it. Tyrion's been in it more than him.
True. Plus, Watts has a good outfit.
I miss Tyrion's, like, brown trench coat that he had. That was cool looking.
That was
And then he
cool.
ditched it. Now he doesn't look as cool. So, but, you know. The Saber Grim are amazing. They're so fucking cool looking. I love the fact that they have like blue sort of like ice stuck on them, and like
Mhm.
they mentioned we're going to see a lot of prehistoric looking Grim this volume. I love the way that the sabers look and the way that they move, and like they look so cool. They've outdone themselves with the Saber Grim. Um, I loved the editing at the start of the fight scene. Very,
Yeah,
very Volume 2,
I have
Chapter
written
10
down the
reminiscent. Yeah,
I have the cinematography written down too.
yeah, from Mountain Glen. That Mountain Glen editing does occasionally keep cropping back up, and I love it. And I'm like, yes, such a callback because I loved the editing in that chapter when they released it. I loved how different it was and how stylized it was.
Mhm.
But yeah, now the whenever they put something in like that, I'm like, yes, it's so anime. I love it. Um,
Mhm.
the score in the fight scene was incredible. Yes, Jeff Williams.
Mhm.
The rock score. For a second, I thought it was going to be a song, but then I was like, no, that's definitely just score. Um, it could have the tune of one of the songs on the soundtrack, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. It's really cool. I like it. I like when they do a rock score. It's good. Emerald and Mercury have had the same outfit from day one. I'm hoping they're getting new ones, and that's kind of why they weren't in the intro as well.
Mhm.
Because when
I
we
don't
see
think
them,
we'll
they'll
see them
look
at all.
different.
I don't think we'll see them at all this volume.
I'm thinking not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see I think we'll maybe see Salem near the end, but I don't think we'll see any of Hazel or Emerald or Mercury because why
I
bother? They're
think they'll
not
show up when
relevant.
Salem does, because she's gonna show up at some point. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. Salem specifically sent Watts and Tyrion, and now they're the two people that they're telling us they're gonna be there. So I'm like,
I do think that, like I mentioned that I think Cinder and Neo are gonna pull an Adam this volume. Um, in that Adam last volume, we saw him in chapter 1, and then not again until chapter 9. I think
mhm.
Cinder and Neo are going to do that. In that later in the volume, they're just going to appear out of nowhere and be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, what's up? We here now." Ow! I just hit my finger on the desk. Um,
yeah. I
uh,
doubt we'll see Salem until she's literally arrived in Solitas with her army.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's gonna be the next time we see Salem. But we've had so much Salem the last 3 volumes. I'm like, okay, I'm done with Salem. I'm over Salem. All Salem ever
Hmm.
does is sit in that fucking hole with her, villain minions and just be menacing. And I'm like, Salem, you need to go do something that's not that.
Hmm. Well, I mean, she was doing stuff at the end of the last
The
volume, but
only
yeah.
time we ever saw her not in that room was at the end of volume 3, and then at the end of volume 6 in the
Volume
after credits when she was making the
and
monkey
four.
grim.
Wasn't she also in four when Cinder was training against the Ruby dummies?
Oh, she was in a
That's
different room, but still in that place that she
true.
inhabits. Um, but yeah, there's literally twice we've seen her outside. So
Got hyped for Salem to flip a table, so that says a lot, yeah.
Salem is terrifying. Um,
She's
and
terrifying.
that scene in particular solidified for me that she is terrifying. Like, because she
Hmm.
went from 0 to 100 like that, and just flipped a
Hmm.
table and comes at the screen with her hand like, I'm gonna kill you. And I'm like, holy
Hmm.
shit, you scare me. I don't
Yeah.
like
And
it.
then, even then, after that, learning that Oz is alive and she still has, so much control over her, she's still so much in control that she's like, leave. And,
Yeah.
everybody leaves, and then she kind of goes,
And
ah,
then, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
she seems so in control for as much as like you can be in control of unbridled rage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, RWBY is really great with its horror vibes. There have been several chapters where I've been like, oh, this chapter's creepy, and like chapter
Hmm.
7 of volume 3 was one of those. With Amber and Cinder and Emerald and Mercury and all that. That was a very creepy chapter. There were a lot of horror elements in that one.
And
Um,
5 and 6 of volume 6 were
mm-hmm.
excellent, beautiful.
So unsettling, so
Hmm.
unsettling, and like just they seem to really nail the creepiness, which is
Hmm.
great because the show is so light and fluffy like 80% of the time that
Hmm.
when it's creepy it really has to be good to have an impact. Um, yeah, and it just goes from light and fluffy to serious so quickly sometimes that it catches you off guard. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, they really have that balance nailed down at this point. Um, yeah, you pointed out that Yang doesn't actually fire her prosthetic arm at any point
Hmm.
during this fight.
She keeps it fairly close to her body the whole time,
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's broken and she can't really use it. I mean, it still
which
works.
makes
She can still
sense.
move it, but I don't
Hmm.
think the gun on it is working. Um,
Yeah.
which also
I mean, listen, it took a really big hit.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense for why now she's getting a big upgrade. Obviously, if she has access to getting an upgrade, she'd get it anyway. But if it's not even working, and it already needs repairs, then definitely, yeah,
Hmm.
it makes a lot of sense. Crow kicking ass in this fight
Hmm.
scene. I
I like that
love.
he's punching again.
Yes, I love the little move that he does where he like spins his scythe around, like, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, Crow. Ugh, I'm so sexually attracted to him. It's not funny. Listen, I'm just
Okay.
putting that out there. I am not the only one. Shut up, you are as well. Mm,
Sure.
yes.
Sure.
I love Gro. He's great. I just love watching him kick ass because he is, he's a pro huntsman. He's been at this for a long time. He has this incredible weapon that I love so much. And like his
Hmm.
style is just all his own and he's so cool and so like just I just love him so much. Ever since chapter 7 of volume 4, I'm such a Crow stan. I love watching Crow kick ass. It's amazing. Um, Oscar is getting really strong. He bitch slapped a Saber Grim with one
Hmm.
hit, and I'm like, damn boy,
Yeah,
nice
he's
job.
coming into his own. I
He
mean,
certainly is.
needs a little bit more awareness because
Mm,
he almost died
he
immediately
did
after.
almost
But
die. He's
he's
learning. He's
14.
a small boy. He'll get there. But
He'll
like
get there.
he's doing that all on his own. He's not
Hmm.
getting any help from Ospen with that. That's just him being strong. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, you go, Oscar. You bitch slap that boy with your rhythm stick. Like that sounds really wrong. Um, but yeah, he's got a stick. It's not like it's a sword or a gun. It's a bloody whacking stick, and he just beats a Grim to death in one hit. I'm like, wow, he's strong. Um, I loved the move of Ruby like ditching Crescent Rose and catching it midair. That was
Hmm.
incredible. That's the only time I've ever seen her like ditch her weapon mid fight.
Hmm.
And then like the way it spins and then she spins up and grabs it, spins down, and slams it
Hmm.
into the ground. I'm like, fuck yes, Ruby. She's come such a freaking long way. I've never seen her ditch Crescent Rose like that. And that would not be easy. That fucking thing would be so heavy. For her to
Hmm.
just ditch it so it spins like that and then grab it and just like, it was so cool. I like
Yeah.
replay that shot over and over.
Hmm.
I'm like, this is
Uh,
gorgeous.
I also like about immediately before that she does her like speed thing that she does,
Mm-hmm.
or
When she
the
like
split speed,
yeah, it was
and
for
I
like
was like,
such a split second, but she like went into 3 over and around a Grim and then rejoined back up. And I love
hmm.
watching her do that. It's so cool. It's such a cool interpretation of her semblance.
Hmm.
Ruby, you must learn to fight hand to hand. Kicks ass anyway. Oh, never mind.
uh,
As long as she's got Crescent Rose, she's good. Um,
are
but yeah, the
these
fact that
Grim really
she
weak? A lot of them seem to go down in 1 to 2 hits. I
they
think
could be
that
weaker, sort of
I
for
think
Grim.
that with how fast we saw them, I think that their speed is their edge
Mm-hmm.
because like they were very fast against those Elysian Knights.
I mean, it could be
And,
the fact too that these Grim are such old Grim that maybe they're not as strong. But we know that the older Grim get, the supposedly more the smarter they get and the stronger they get. But these
Mm-hmm.
guys are prehistoric. Like the centipede Grim that we saw in the intro, Blake was taking them out with one slash of her little, her little gun. So, and they're quite large Grim, and they look like they have a lot of armor on them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know towards the maybe these guys are just getting really strong and like, they're just too OP. But yeah, I just love that move of Ruby ditching Crimson Rose because she's so attached to her weapon at the hip, and it's like for her to just ditch it midair and be like, I don't need this for a second, come back. um, yeah, it's just really cool, and I loved the Weiss and Ren sort of move where Weiss like
Yeah.
floated them in the air and Ren just came along and killed them. I was like, I love to see different characters working together that don't usually work together. And I love that they make an effort to kind of try and do that every, fight scene. They try and put people together that, okay, we haven't seen these two do something for a while. Let's put them together and do something. And let's see how we can play around with different combinations of people with their semblances and their abilities and their weapons and that kind of thing. And then obvious Bumblebee, of course. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely buzzing.
Yes, absolutely buzzing. So the green laser that pops in, I watched the teaser before I saw the episode, and when it ended as abruptly as it did, I was like, I wonder why it ended there. There must be a reason that was very sudden. Because the green laser obviously comes through and slices the Grim in half immediately after that.
And everyone would have known what was happening.
Yeah, we were in our reaction and a green laser popped up and Larissa goes, it's a green laser. I'm like, yes, Larissa. Who has green lasers? And she looked at me like, what? And then I think she realized that I was talking about Penny.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she expected to see Penny at all.
I'd like to request Jean amplify Nora's semblance so she can bring about pink Ragnarok.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. Penny?
Yeah. Amplify her aura and then just, Ruby unleashes lightning dust into her. Like, yikes.
Yes, bitch. I still love that moment in Volume 4 where Ruby shoots lightning dust at Nora and Tyrion's like, oh, damn, you fucked up. And Ruby's like, no, I didn't.
Ruby's like, well, actually.
And if you turn around, bitch, you'll notice that you're fucked. But Penny is so beautiful. Look at that precious child. I love her hair. I love her dress. I love the bow that she's wearing now. She just looks incredible.
Yeah, she's not hiding that she's a robot anymore.
No.
Like, she is like, I am a robot. And I also saw a lot of people pointing out her outfit seems very inspired by Volume 1 RWBY.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Got those vibes. But yeah, she's so cute. I just love her. She's adorable.
Yeah.
She looks amazing. And like I love how so exactly the same that she is. She's like, she has no social skills for one. The way that she hugs Ruby is so Penny, and the fact that Ruby is like immediately like so shocked and happy to see her, and then she's like, oh shit, Penny's coming at me at full throttle. I am in trouble.
Yeah, this is like the 5th time she's been like tackle hugged by Penny. Like, she knows that like I'm about to hurt.
Yeah, I did not expect Penny with long hair either, and I didn't expect to love it as much as I do. Yeah, I feel like Penny's gotten long hair, and then some other people are going to get short hair this volume. So,
I still don't know how I feel about Jean's hair. I'm like, ugh.
I don't know. It looks okay in the intro, but just okay.
Yeah, I'm like,
I hated the concept art. I hated it so much.
I just like he's got flowy hair. Like, he needs to have flowy hair, not like
Yeah,
Naruto hair.
I think Brandon, a lot of inspiration for Penny's new look came from that 3.0 design of dishwashers, because I know that he has done art for the show and for the games surrounding the show and that. So he has worked with Rooster Teeth, so I feel like a lot of inspiration for her new look came from his art. It definitely wouldn't surprise me. With the way that Penny like charges at Ruby, I noticed the second time I watched it that you can see the smear frames in real time.
Oh, really?
You can see them. There's like the wide shot where she's like going past Yang and I think Ren. and I'm like, I saw the smear frames in real time just then.
Mhm.
Like, I saw the elongated Penny that looked like a giraffe, like rocket, just shooting across the screen. I'm like, I've never seen smear frames in real time like that. um, yeah, so that was adorable and just about as expected.
I said this earlier, but I was the thing that I was surprised by the most is that she recognized them because
Yeah.
everybody always suspected that when we would get Penny again, she wouldn't be our Penny, she would just be a Penny.
Yeah.
But like the fact that she knows RWBY and like I've told you this before that like the only person I've really ever been able to ship RWBY with was Penny.
Nuts and
You know,
bolts all the way.
no offense, White Rose people, I respect you.
Oh no, offense. Nuts and bolts.
But it's the nuts and bolts is the only thing I could ever ship. But when Penny died, so did my ship,
Oh my god, yes.
and now it's like back, and I'm like, oh.
Penny's little smile when she goes, and her eyes go so wide in anime. I'm like, I freaking love you. Like, welcome back, Penny. We missed you. You had no idea about her core. Yeah, I always knew she was coming back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did also figure that she wouldn't be the same. But I am kind of glad that that's not the case. Because that was just adorable. So, Pietro's comment about we're not going to let a little ripping to shreds stop us. I'm like, foreshadowing big time.
Here's the thing. I don't think they'll kill her again.
No, that's not what I mean.
Or
I mean the volume in general. Like, a little ripping to shreds, I feel like it's foreshadowing the volume in general, not foreshadowing a second Penny death. Like, that would be cruel to give her back and then take her away immediately.
Because I saw people on Tumblr talking about, like, you can't resurrect people in shows lightly.
Unless and you're so supernatural.
Well, okay, touche. But that show's a mess.
Yes.
In a good way, but it's a mess.
It's a mess and we love it.
But, like, so Penny coming back is going to have consequences. Like, I'm worried for like if Penny's somehow going to end up on not the same side as the rest of them.
Yeah.
And like because also the other thing is she's so OP now. She can fly and has lasers. Like
okay, Thomas.
Penny could be a very like dangerous person to have as an enemy.
Some of the recent seasons of Supernatural are the best seasons. 10 and 12 come to mind immediately, and 14 was quite good as well. She could be killed permanently, and that scares me.
Yeah. The thing that scares me is that Team RWBY might have to do it, and that would be heartbreaking.
That would be heartbreaking. Yeah. I'm hoping that that's not going to happen, and that if it does, they're able to sort of like pull her back from it. But. I don't want to think about it. We just got her back.
Because the other thing I noticed is I'm like, Pietro was coughing a lot in this episode. Like, so I'm like, Pietro's sick. Yeah, so what happens if Penny loses Pietro, and then she doesn't like have him as like her moral center kind of a thing? Like he's kind of her Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, Thomas, so like season 6 and 7 were terrible. Get past that and it's fine.
8 wasn't very good either.
Yeah, 8 wasn't great. 9 was good and so was 10. But anyway, okay, this is a huge pet peeve that I have with this show. They walked the wrong way again, and it drives me insane that they keep doing this because they keep blocking out their scenes wrong so that they have to make the characters walk the incorrect direction to make it make sense. And I'm like, you think we don't notice? We notice.
Like, yeah, it was so obvious because it was like they were like, well, going this way, and then they were like, okay, we'll meet up with you, And it's like, where are they going? They went that way.
Literally, okay, Pietro and Penny walk this way. Everybody else turns and walks that way. I'm like, why are you going that way? You were over here a second ago. Why are you walking this way? What is going on? Why are you like this? And I don't understand why the show keeps doing this. It's so noticeable and it bothers the shit out of me. And it was chronic in Volume 5. And like half of the reason I can't stand rewatching Volume 5 is because the scene blocking is so terrible. Especially when they were at Haven Academy at the end for like the last 3 chapters or so. The scene blocking was terrible. Characters were teleporting all over the place. They were mirroring shots and it was obvious. And like they would have, you know, all of Team RWBY standing in a line. 1 minute Ozka's over here, the next minute he's behind them. And I'm like, a second ago he was right in front of them. And like the scene blocking was a mess. So it always bothers me when they do shit like this for no reason. Just because it looks better or it's stylistically better. And I'm like, no, bitch. Why are they walking that way? They should be walking the other way. Bothers the fucking shit out of me. You could have just put the family portrait the way she was already going. That's another one that's really annoying. That shot in Volume 4 where Weiss walks completely the wrong direction. Yeah, it's just irritating. But here I don't fucking know. Blocking in the atrium fight never ceases to kill me. Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh yeah.
Instant transmission. Yeah, it's so fucking annoying. I hate it when they do this shit.
That's the thing. I did mean to go back and rewatch that scene to see if like it was a mirrored shot and that like technically they were walking the right way, but the camera went from this side of the street to this side of the street, so it looked like they were going the wrong way. And then like back to this one again for the other stuff. Like I meant to like take a closer look at the background and I never did. So I'm wondering if that's the case. But even if that's still the case, that's just bad cinematography because we see, you know, Maria and Pietro exit, you know, to the right, and then our team goes to follow them to the left.
Yeah, Maria went to the right as well. I forgot.
Well, Penny flew off.
Yeah,
Penny was already gone
Maria,
at that point.
Penny, yeah, sorry. I kind of forgot Maria was in the scene, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I loved Maria's line there where she's like,
who that child was. Is she important somehow?
Is she important? I was like,
I'm like, poor
Maria.
Maria has spent the entirety of her tenure on the show being utterly out of the loop and having no idea what's going on.
Maria's there to be that person where it's like, I started watching RWBY during Volume 6. Oh, yeah. What's happening?
Maria didn't get arrested. She's with Pietro. That could be interesting.
Oh yeah, as soon as like those people were doing that, they were like, she was like, bye. See you later. She rolled her eyes. She was like, these fuckers just can't catch a break. They're always in trouble.
No time for them and their hijinks. Like she has no time or patience for it, and I love that. But yeah, just oh my god, she steals every scene that she's in. Like honestly, with her lines. But like she has spent her entire time being out of the loop. She has no idea ever what's going on. I love that about her, but she just kind of goes with it. And finally gets her eyes fixed. Yeah, that's good. So the Ace Ops. Now the first time they said Ace Ops in the show, I thought of Aesop's, like Aesop's Fables. And then RWBY goes Ace Ops to make it really obvious to the viewers that it's Ace Ops, not Aesop's. But yeah, those guys are supposed to resemble Aesop's Fables. Haven't really figured out which ones yet.
Yeah, I looked at a list of Aesop's Fables and like looking for anything that might have to do with luck. And I was like, because they're all named, you know, the tortoise and the hare, you know, the sea and the tower. Like they're all got such names where I'm like, I don't get it.
I mean, one of them is a faunus that looks like it has a scaly tail.
I thought he was a wolf.
It might be
thought he was a wolf.
I don't know. I keep looking at the intro and I'm like, 1 minute I see wolf and the next I see scales. But yeah, I don't know. I'm confused by it. I think more than one of them might actually be faunus, but one's just not a very obvious faunus.
I'm wondering if the other guy's a faunus, the guy with the face tattoo.
I think so, maybe. Yeah, the one that looks like the guy from Airbender, or.
Sure. Yeah. You keep saying that, but I don't think he looks anything like Aang.
He looks like the kid from fucking whatever his fucking name is. He's got a thing on his head, and his head is shaven, and he's pale. So I'm like Airbender.
So because he's bald, pale, and has a face tattoo. He's Aang.
Yes, that's essentially Aang, right?
I mean, touche.
Am I wrong?
I'll give you that.
Okay. Clover Abbey is the lucky fisherman. Okay, so Clover Abbey, I am in love with this character already. He is gorgeous. I stan him, and I want him and Crow to have beautiful babies together. Um, but shakes head disappointedly. Shut up! I don't watch that fucking show.
It's amazing. You should.
Well, listen, all I've ever seen is a live action film, and it was terrible, and I hated it.
No, no. The live action film is everybody hates it. Everybody's like,
I
this
know,
is a
but it
horse
put me
shit.
off of watching the show ever. So I was like, no, thank you, not for me. I don't even remember why I saw the movie. Somebody took me to see it because they wanted to see it, and I was like, this is fucking awful. I hate this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Clover Abbey. So obviously his first name Clover, relating to four-leaf clover. That's also a lucky
He had
thing.
the horseshoe.
He had
He
the
had
horseshoe,
the
he
four-leaf
had a rabbit's
clover
foot,
pin.
he had a rabbit's
The
foot.
rabbit's foot.
But
Yeah.
also his surname Ebi is short for the Japanese word Ebison, which is the god of luck. So, you know, as names go in this show, they really, you know, they go all in with all of the, this guy is lucky! Like, here is all of your clues that he is a luck guy.
Yeah.
But I love the juxtaposition between him being good luck and Crow being bad luck. I'm like, if they got together, they would cancel each other out.
Yeah, I know. I've
It
been
would
waiting
be
for
so
somebody to do.
interesting to watch them fight together, just the two of them versus like just the two of them, like with Crow's bad luck like aura and his good luck aura, to see like they could do so many interesting things with it, and I want it so bad now, and I'm gonna be sad if I don't get it.
Yeah, because Crow talks about like his bad luck aura not just like is him being unlucky, but it's also his opponents being unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
So like if Clover has the good luck where him and the people around him are also lucky, like it just creates this neutral effect where like, you know,
the ship name should be Lucky Charms. Oh, I love that.
I stan.
Fandom, please adopt that. Please, please. I'm gonna spam that all over my Twitter later. Oh my god, I freaking love that ship name, Brandon. You're amazing. Lucky Charms. I freaking love that.
I love that.
I love that.
Crow could finally be around his family. I also like to collect Tears of Vic stands with Crow being confirmed bi-con. I know, right?
I want Crow
I'd
to
love
be
that.
bi, please. Oh my god, please. Like, I just ship him with Clover so hard, it's not even funny.
Yeah, I've been waiting for. I've always like been like, I want there to be somebody out there with a good luck semblance for Crow.
Yeah.
Like I want Crow to have that person that so he doesn't feel like a burden to like if he could just find someone that makes him so he doesn't feel like a burden. They cancel each other out. They would be like, it would be it's so beautiful. It'd be love at first sight.
I'm gonna need K&M to see how hard the fandom like ships these two, and please make this a thing, because I'm gonna be so upset if it isn't a thing. Like, I'm so invested already after 5 seconds, it's not even funny. Yeah, no, Fair Game is a lame
I remember I
name.
told you.
I definitely prefer Lucky Charms.
It was so funny when we were talking about the episode, and I was told you that I shipped them, and just watching the realization dawn on you.
I hadn't thought about it.
I literally watched you fall in love with the ship. It was glorious.
You literally saw like the rush of like over my face and me go, oh my god, they can be shipped. I'm like, I'm not huge into the shipping game in RWBY, but like I will write fan fiction about this fucking ship. Like, I'm so into this, and we've seen Clover for 5 seconds, and I'm like, he is so beautiful of a person, and like just oh my god, I ship them so hard. Like, please make this a thing. We need more LGBT male characters. Glazed at Scarlet, so this is amazing. Yeah, but Scarlet doesn't really count because it didn't really come up when he was actually shown in the show. Yeah. So I mean, he counts because he is LGBT, but that representation didn't exist when he was in the show. So
yeah, it's one of those. It's sort of a J.K. Rowling type situation where it's like, well, you told us, but
Dumbledore was gay the
can
whole
we
time.
see it?
Fuck off, J.K. Nobody cares. Fucking bitch. I really don't like her. I'm sorry, but I don't. At all. That's why I glared at him. Yeah, exactly. But, like, I love the idea of Scarlet being LGBT. I love Scarlet's character. I hope we see the rest of
I want to see him.
I know we'll go back to Vacuo eventually. Not back to. We'll go to Vacuo eventually. But, yeah.
I just want to see the rest of Team Sun because, like, Monty... Like, because Gavin was originally supposed to voice Junior, and then he liked his performance so much as Junior that he wanted him to play a specific character, and that character was Scarlet. So like I want to see like what was it about Scarlet that we don't know that made Monty be like Gavin is Scarlet? Like what vision did Monty have of Scarlet
Mm.
that we didn't get to see?
No, yeah,
Like
I'm sure it will come
not yet.
about, yeah, eventually. But it just, I think that they took the show in a little bit of a different direction than they originally intended. So they just haven't
Hmm.
gotten around to all of that stuff yet. But we will get around to it eventually. Um, Aizawa from MHA. I have not seen My Hero Academia, so or
Yep.
however you fucking
It's
pronounce it.
academia.
But I love that RWBY is becoming so mainstream now. Like I remember mentioning to you like about a couple of weeks ago about how popular RWBY has become and how mainstream it is in the anime world, even though it's not an anime, and I will never say it is an anime. It's not, but it is anime inspired. Um, but like the how mainstream and how popular it is, and how many like for want of a better term, weebs love RWBY now. I'm a weeb. I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, just like how mainstream it is and how many incredible anime voice actors are in this show. And it's like they just casually voice characters in RWBY, and I'm like, I've been around since before RWBY existed with Rooster Teeth, and I remember
Hmm.
RWBY when it was a 4 minute episode every week, and like it was the quality was questionable at best at times,
And,
and
but
like
we still loved it.
but we still loved it because it was our little baby and it was so cute and adorable and so well written even back then. And like the story was so intriguing. And but like I remember Ruby when it was a tiny little show and it's this tiny little baby and only Rooster Teeth fans knew about it, and now it's huge and I don't know when that happened. I'm literally so confused. I'm like, which volume did this become a thing? Like I
I think it
can't.
was I think it was after volume 3
I think
because I
so.
hear so many people like if they weren't already Rooster Teeth fans, so many people I hear like I started watching after volume 3. Like those are like the two most common
Hmm.
people is like they were Rooster Teeth fans or they were Monty Ohm fans or it was after volume 3.
But even like volumes 4 and 5, I felt like it wasn't as it hadn't exploded as much as it has now. I think towards the end of volume 5 is when it started to become mainstream. Because even
Hmm.
throughout volume 6, I was like, "Holy shit, this show's become really popular. When did that happen?" Because I remember a time when it was
Yeah.
not at all, and there was nobody reacting to it except for like Arnold and um, Cal came in a little bit later, and like there was a very select group of people that were the RWBY tubers, and I
Hmm.
was one of them, but I didn't react until the show until the end of volume 3. But I was doing other videos, so it was me and Arnold and Cal and like a select group of people, Dan and Alex and Liam, and that was like the group of people that were the RWBY YouTubers. Now there are hundreds of us, and I can't keep track of how many reactors there are to the show. And I'm like, it's crazy how many like how popular it's become. And like I go on YouTube now and look for reactions. I'm like, there is so many. There's hundreds of people that react to this now. I'm like, when did this happen? It used to be a group of like a dozen people, and that was it. Like, I just get blown away because I remember a time when this show was tiny and nobody knew about it, and now I'm like, I'm so proud of my little baby has grown up so much. But also, like, with that comes a lot of negatives, and that includes terrible people, but we're just going to ignore them. So
Yeah. I
there's
know.
plenty of
That's the other
positivity.
thing
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
yeah. It's the other thing I'm so glad about with the RWBY season starting up again is and I think this is also like part of the reason why we didn't do RWBY content in between, besides the fact that I mean you were just so busy, but like
There
on
was so
during
much
the break
negativity.
the fandom was like insufferable.
Well, I
Like it was
mean,
just so there was so much happening and it was so
yeah,
negative. It was just like it was just the Ruby fandom wasn't fun, really.
no,
Like
it wasn't fun
so
all off season. It was just stress and heartache and tears and just a lot of hatred,
controversy after controversy after
controversy, a lot of
controversy.
hatred. And the thing is, none of it was resulting directly from the show. It was all outside influences. And like the whole thing with He Who Shall Not Be Named happened, and that affected me deeply as a person. And I felt like I didn't want to engage with the show during the off season because of all of that. I on a very personal level, felt very affected by all of that. And with the women that came forward with their their claims and that, and now that that's finally all been settled at last, and they can get on with their lives more or less. And
Hmm.
now that the
I
new
mean, there
season
was an
has
appeal,
started,
so
the new season has started, and now the fandom has something to focus on that's
yeah.
not all of that
Mhm.
toxicity.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm so glad it's back because finally the actual fandom, the real people who love the show finally have something to unite over besides just like
yeah,
hate besides these people who are saying horrible things about the show. Like we finally just like have something that isn't negative to focus on. We've
yeah.
got something good to focus on.
And there are still the people out there, and I'm not going to talk about them because they're not worth my breath or my time. So
Hmm.
you all know who they are. We know who they are. We're not going to give them the attention that they want because that's all they care about is attention. All they crave is
Hmm.
attention because their mothers didn't love them enough, and that's simply all there is to it. But we're not going to give them our time of day because it's not worth it. We want to talk about this show and how much we love this show, the positives of the show, the negatives of the show. The show isn't perfect; it never has been. It's it's
Hmm.
it's getting better every year, but there are things wrong with it, like people walking the wrong way, and I'm going to continuously bring that up. So, but the show has never been
Hmm.
perfect, and but it's our
Hmm.
baby, and we love it all the same. And like, so to
Yeah.
see people
I owe
just
so much to RWBY. Like
so do I.
I could never hate RWBY.
Yeah,
Like I truly never could.
no, I could never hate this show. It could literally kill my favorite character, and I would still love it probably. I mean, if Weiss
Hmm.
dies, I'm gonna stop watching though. But if she dies, I'll stop watching. Um, no,
uh,
Thomas. You
I
know what? I am somebody who will freely admit that I did not like your content or you as a person during Volume 5, and before that. And, I've watched you yourself grow as a fan and as a person so much in the last couple of years. And it makes me feel really proud, as a RWBY YouTuber, to see not just you, but others as well in the fandom who have grown so much. And yeah, something turned around with you. I don't know what changed your mind, but um, yeah, I, I mean, you adore the show. We know that you adore the show. We adore the show, and like that's why all of us are here doing what we do is because we love this show, and we're not gonna sit here and go it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it because there is things wrong with it, and that's what we're here to
yeah.
discuss. And if we don't discuss them, the show's never going to improve. So, but there's a
Plus also,
difference between that and what the other people do. And what the other people
mhm,
do is hate speech and hate spreading and negativity and racist and sexist
mhm,
and anti LGBT and all of that sort of stuff. It is negative, negative, negative for no reason. And that
mhm.
is the difference
Because
between them and us.
yeah, and also the thing like Volume 5 was an easy volume to hate.
It was
Like
not great.
it was
And
an easy
we've
volume
talked
to
about
hate
it
and pick
at
apart
length.
and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. So like I don't it honestly it's the people who like stuck to their guns through volume 6 that are the ones that I'm like you truly hate this show.
Yeah.
Like
And it's
if you
like,
couldn't find anything good about volume 6, like you just don't like the show. Like why are you putting energy into the show if like you clearly don't like it?
for attention. That's why. That's the only reason. Because they know that it stirs shit and all they live for is to stir shit. And I'm like, you could be doing something so much more productive with your life, but instead you are choosing to bring other people down and make other people feel shitty for liking something that is actually good. But you are just incapable of knowing the difference, um, between criticism and hatred. So, you know, but when that's all we're going to say about it. They don't deserve our time.
Mhm.
Honestly, if we just keep ignoring them, eventually they will go away. But the
Yeah.
more that we retweet and like say, "Oh my god, look at what this
Hmm.
person said! What an
Yeah,
idiot!" That's
yeah,
giving
they're
them
so
what they
dumb.
want. That's giving them
Hmm.
what they want. That's the reason they make shit posts and stupid videos with clickbaity thumbnails and titles. And like, as long as if we all just collectively ignored them, eventually they would just go away, or like they would
Hmm.
fade into the woodwork, and we wouldn't notice them anymore. So we just don't need to give them the time of day. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Volume 6 was a massive step up. Volume 6 is my favorite volume. It is objectively the best volume of the show. I have a feeling Volume 7 is gonna, blow it out of the water by what we've seen so far. The pacing has been slower, but I have a feeling that this
Yeah.
volume is gonna be building up to something.
Also, it's the first episode.
Yeah,
Like, if you go off the first episode of Volume 6, even like, I mean, Volume 6, it was good. I think it was better than this
Volume
episode,
6 had the
but
best
like,
premiere.
it didn't really. It didn't really have like much to go off of, similar to this one. Like, it wasn't
Volume
really till episode 2 when we got an idea of where the volume was going.
Volume 6 had the best premiere of any volume and one of the worst finales. The only other one
Yeah.
that had a worse finale was Volume 5. So I would say Volume 5 had the worst finale and maybe the worst premiere as well. Volume 5's premiere was meh.
I mean, it was just a lot of talking.
It was
I
meh.
didn't hate it, but
I didn't I didn't like the
yeah,
pacing.
probably the
I didn't
worst.
like the pacing of that premiere. It felt weird to me. But yeah, it had the worst premiere and the worst finale, and the worst chapter in it, which was chapter 9. That is the worst chapter of RWBY. That is the worst chapter, and you can't tell me otherwise. It is awful. I cannot watch it.
I
Um,
literally think I've only watched it like twice.
yeah,
Like I
I've only
just
watched it
can't
twice.
rewatch that
Once to
episode.
watch it to react to it, and once to edit it, and that was it.
Yeah.
I have not touched it since. I'm like, this is insufferable. I hate this chapter. But yeah, Volume 6 definitely best premiere. Yeah. God, I love Volume 6 premiere. Hey, Malicious. Yeah, Volume 6 premiere, amazing, great premiere. This premiere, um, neither great nor bad, just somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Good.
And
It was fine.
it was
Solid.
fine. Here's the thing. We always need the premiere to connect you between where you ended and where you're going.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. As long as it does that,
that,
then cool.
mhm. And I have a feeling the next episode is definitely going to give us maybe going to be a little exposition-y, but it's going to give us an idea of where we're going, and that's all that matters.
All I need is for my Lucky Charms to take off. That's all I care about. Like, I'm excited at the thought of shipping Robin with Crow, but I'm like, please don't. We've seen Crow be a womanizer. Like, we've seen that. That's fine. We know that that's a thing. But,
hmm
like, making him bi would just make me so... I think I would cry if
Yeah.
Clover
And like
and Crow
even
became a thing.
especially because it would be such an interesting thing to where it's like and maybe just like even a thing where it's like he'd never really thought about it before,
Yeah.
but just he feels so safe with
I just want Crow to,
doesn't
like...
feel like a burden, and he doesn't feel unlucky and
Yeah.
untouchable and unlovable. Even like it's just a person who makes him feel safe, and that person just, I guess, would
He
happen to be a
needs
dude.
Clover to cancel him out. And I'm like, I would literally cry if this became a thing because, like, there is, apart from Blake, no bisexual representation in the show. Blake's a big one, for sure. She's a huge one. She is my queen and my icon, and I love her to pieces. But, like, for Crow to be that, there's no male LGBT representation in this show. There needs to be more male LGBT people. And I
Mhm.
love that they've got so much female representation, but I feel like the poor boys are being left out. And
Yeah,
like,
and that's the thing with animes too, is like, if Ruby's not an anime, but like you in anime you typically see a lot more female because of the male gaze. So it's like, so instead of the male gaze, we want the male gaze.
yeah,
So where are they?
exactly. And like, Dodge is now talking about a throuple with Crow, Clover, and Robin, and I'm like, honestly, I feel like Robin is too much woman for both Crow and Clover to handle.
Also, we don't even know anything
She
about her
has
yet.
big dick energy, like,
Mhm.
for real. But yeah, Crow and Clover, I'm like, I'm just warning you guys ahead of time. I'm gonna be a mess every time these two are on screen together because I ship them
Mhm.
so hard. I've never shipped anyone so hard in the show before. Um, but
You just want
I'm
Crow
a
to be
mess.
happy, and
I
we're
just
like,
want
this is
him
a
to be
chance for him to
happy
be
because
happy.
he's such a sad boy all the time, and I'm like, you need somebody who's gonna cancel out your bad luck and make you believe in life again. Um, yeah, and I've got here my gay OTP, and Clover doesn't actually seem like an ass, so
hmm
he seems pretty chilled. So the male
Yeah, I
gay
also
OTP,
noticed
yes.
I also noticed that Clover, you could see his weapon on his hip in one shot, or at least I think it's his weapon. And I'm wondering if it looked kind of like an ice pick,
Yeah.
but there was also like something else to it. But I'm like wondering, okay, is his weapon like an ice pick? Because that
Oh,
would like seem interesting for the
yeah.
tundra.
That's another thing I wanted to mention. Is like when he throws it up to that building to like pull himself up. Not only was that animation super jerky and awkward, but the depth of field was completely off. In that it didn't look like he was actually throwing it onto that building and then jumping up there for some reason. It just
Yeah,
didn't
it
look right.
looked like a flat
It did
image.
look like a flat image, and I'm not sure what went wrong there, but it just didn't look that. That is the biggest shot in the chapter that I'm like, ew, that's not good. But it's a small thing that can be forgiven because the other finer details look so incredible. But there's
Hmm.
always that one little thing that I'm like, ew, that's awkward. That doesn't look very nice, and that was that for me. Um,
Thanks for
no
hanging
worries,
out.
Thomas. Thank you so much for hanging out and discussing with us. It's been a pleasure having you. And now
Hmm.
Thomas is going to be on the Boopcast later on in the season as well, so definitely make sure you tune in when he's on. Um, and when everyone else is on too. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here and chatting with us. Um,
The full schedule of what who we're having on and when is on the Boopcast
it
Twitter.
is. There's an image there that has all of the guests on it, and they are in order of appearance from top to bottom, left to right. Um, so yeah, hopefully that doesn't change at some point. I haven't said who's in what chapters yet because that could change around a
True.
little bit. So, but that's everybody that's going to be on this season. So it's
Mhm.
so exciting to have so many incredible RWBY YouTubers on the season and so many returning from previous seasons. People we've had on since season 1 as well, still coming back to the show. Every time I go around and do rounds of like contacting people to ask if they want to be on the Boopcast or come back on, the people who've been on before are like, yes, I want in. Like, what's the details? When am I on? Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how we've managed to build up this reputation
I
of
don't
being
I
so
don't
much
know
fun to hang
either.
out with, but apparently everybody loves being on this podcast, and it makes
I
me
know.
feel
I'm
really happy.
always I'm always whenever you're like I'm making plans for people to have on, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have 7 episodes with no guests, and then you're like, oh, actually, we're full, and I'm just like, how?
Yeah,
How are we
literally
full?
18 people we're having on this year, which is the most we've ever had. And like, I remember saying to Cory at the start, I was like, I want to avoid having more than one person on a week. And now we have like 3 weeks where there's two
Yeah.
people and every other week is full. And I'm like, okay, that's a lot of people. Because I just message a lot of people, expecting some of them not to reply. Only one person couldn't be on this year. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay. Literally everybody else said yes. So
Hmm.
that was the thing. And I also just message people. Like Dishwasher was one that I was like, I just messaged him to be like, he'll probably say no, but that's fine. I'm gonna reach out anyway. And then he was like, sure, that sounds like fun. I was like, okay, I didn't expect you to say yes. Okay, now I'm nervous. So he's gonna be on next week for chapter 2, which blows
Hmm.
my mind, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I can't even handle it. Um, I told I told Imperial Dawn last week that he was going to be on, and he was like, "How?" I was like, "I just messaged him." I love your confidence, he said. I was like, "Well, I've gotten used to just messaging people I don't know and saying, hey, we have this podcast. Do you want to be on?" And most of the time, they're like, "Yeah." So especially people who've been on before, they're like, they can't wait to come back on. I have had certain people message me like a month ahead of time and be like, "What's going on with Boopcast this year? Can I be on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I'll message you with details later. We haven't sorted it yet." But yeah, it's so good to know that people love being on the podcast. It makes us feel like we're doing a good thing here.
I don't
So
know. I don't know.
we're pretty amazing,
Especially with
though.
I went back and actually rewatched our very first, or I watched the first 2 minutes of our first one again the other
Cringe.
day,
So
and
much
we were
cringe.
so
So much cringe.
awkward
I
and
can't. I
uncomfortable,
can't.
and
I
it's just
can't.
like, oh,
Who did we have on the first one?
nobody. It was
It
just
was
you
just
and me.
us. Yeah. And
Yeah, the
even like,
first guest we had on was
thank you for the follow, Agile
Indy.
Dinosaur. Welcome to the new bummy. Did that alert go off or did it not? Because I didn't hear
I
it.
don't see. Oh,
No,
it did
it
go off.
went off,
Yeah,
but I didn't hear
thanks.
it. God, that was quiet. Um, but thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. This is the first one you've caught live. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, we'll stream these mostly at this time. Mostly, it's gonna be a bit everywhere. I'm sorry. Um,
Nah.
But yeah,
We got it as consistent as we possibly could.
I think when we did the first Boopcast too, we weren't nearly as close friends as we are now. So now it's like so easy for us to just talk about the show forever.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, but the thing was, is the reason we started the Boopcast was because we were spending hours talking about Ruby anyway.
Yeah, and we were like, we should have a podcast. So we just had a podcast, and then like it's still going. So we must be doing something right. You're in Oz, so it's a reasonable time. Excellent, great. We've been talking for nearly 3 hours, so let's move on to the intro
Yeah.
quickly. So the intro.
Well, the only other thing I had was, and this is kind of with the intro, but I just put it here because I was talking about the Aesops, as I listed the other members of Aesops as Big Butch Lady with Hammer, Face Tattoo Guy, who maybe has a lightning weapon, Speedy Mohawk Lady, and Chainsaw Sword Railgun Wolf Dude.
Yeah, I love that the Faunus has the chainsaw. Like, what is with Faunus and chainsaws? Like, White Fang Lieutenant, hello. Like, what is with Faunus and chainsaws? Am I stereotyping them? Maybe.
I
think
don't
the
know
show
if
is
it's actually a
stereotyping them.
chainsaw. It just reminds me,
It
the
looks like a
design of it
chainsaw.
reminds me so much of the early Keyblade designs from Kingdom Hearts, which was like a chainsaw.
Yeah, it looks like a chainsaw. By the way, the Corner of Remnant has been live for the last 42 minutes. Sorry, I was going to mention that. So definitely, if you don't want to miss either us or them, definitely pull them up. I'm just
Yeah.
going to post the link in here.
Once we're done, we should go raid them.
Yeah, we will. So there's Larissa. They're streaming the Corner of Remnant right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, with the intro, I love the bright colors. I love the silhouettes. I love how popping this intro is. Somebody described it as funky, and I was like, it is so funky, and I love it. And like, I just love it so bright, and it's so like, it's popping with the upbeat music and like this silhouette. I love this intro.
Yeah.
I think this might be my favorite intro.
Yeah. I think visually it's my favorite
It's
intro.
so
I'm
stylistic.
still unsure about the song, but visually it's definitely my favorite intro.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I think if I'd heard the song without the intro, I would have been like, yeah. But I love that the intro and the song go so well together, like hand in hand with like the way they've timed everything with the music. It is very Cowboy Bebop. Yes, it is very Cowboy Bebop, and I love that. Um, I love the shots at the start with the girls where it like switches between them and their hair are all blowing the same direction, and the physics and the snow and the silhouettes, and oh my god, it's so pretty. I love it so much. And I love the shots of them switching from the volume 1 to volume 4 to volume 7 outfits. That is incredible. I love the way that they did that. It's scaring me a little bit though, because it's giving me vibes that maybe 7, 8, and 9 might be the final 3 volumes. But Larissa did make a point to me that like it would make sense for them to have 4 story arcs, because 4 is the number in this show.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that does make sense. But just the intro, the way that they did that, made me feel like it was almost like wrapping up. But
they originally said that they had plans for 10 volumes.
Yeah.
And then they have admitted that volumes 2 and 3 were were originally like one of their planned volumes.
Yeah.
So like them having 12 volumes makes sense to me.
Yeah. That's if they get there, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of the end. Yeah, it gives me that vibe, and I hope that's not the case. It would make more sense for there to be 12 volumes, especially if we still have to go to Vacuo.
Yeah, we still have to go Vacuo, and I'm still convinced like we need after we go to Vacuo, we need one more season going back to Vale. Like we need that, wrap it up, everything comes together, finding the crown, we like all that stuff. So that's why I'm like, if we spend 7 and 8 in Atlas and then, 9 and 10 in Vacuo, then maybe like an 11th season in Vale, like I could see that working out.
I believe, didn't they already announce that they're renewing RWBY for Volume 8, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they already said that. Yeah. But I mean, no one's surprised. It's not going to end here.
Oh yeah, I'm like, this is, Dodge, because you watch this. I love to talk about the Great War, and I'm like, the parallels. There's so many parallels.
So
like
many.
we're gonna the Great War ended in Vacuo. So like there's gonna be a big ass battle in Vacuo,
Mm.
but then they need to come back to Vale to wrap everything up, go full circle.
God, we've mentioned basically everything in the intro already. But there's one thing that I noticed that in the shot of Weiss and Winter, they're standing in front of the statue from the Weiss character short, which I
Hmm.
found really interesting. We talked about Jean's shield, Robin Hill. Is she a huntress? Maybe, possibly. Don't know. Penny in the
I mean,
intro.
hometown
She's
hero.
Penny's
So
shot in the intro is so freaking cute. I can't handle it.
mhm.
She's adorable. Um, Oscar versus Ironwood in the vault. Yeah, Crow's new outfit. Haven't seen it
Hmm.
up close. Can't have an opinion.
Yeah, I feel unsure about the change from like silver to black, kind of a thing. I'm like,
Well,
ooh.
it's like grey.
Well, yeah, but it's just it's going from a light toned color to a dark toned color, and I'm like,
So is
ooh, I
the
don't
so is
know.
the volume though. So like,
Yeah, I know. It's like it's one of those things where I'm like, I'll get used to it. It's
also
like,
he's got short sleeves. I'm like, Crow, you're going to freeze.
yeah,
Please put longer sleeves on. Please, you're gonna freeze. Like, I'm worried about his health. He just doesn't look very warm in that at all. It looks too summery for the location. But you know, I don't know.
Oh, one thing I did notice in the intro is you can see on Watts' computer after it zooms out from the Aesop's shot
Mm.
is that he also has mantle election map
Yeah, yeah.
tracking that, and then he has the mantle security program
Mm.
up as well. So I'm like, ooh.
That's true. Being drunk does keep you warm, so that's very true. I want him to sober up though. Like seriously, get
Yeah.
your shit together, bro.
I mean, I think that that will be part of
I
his arc
understand
this
life is
line.
hard. Maybe Clover will sober him up in more ways than one.
Oh, good, he's gerrymandering it to hell.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Um, I absolutely adore the low frame shots with the four girls at the end with the colors and the silhouettes. I
Hmm.
absolutely love them. They are so anime and like it's such a callback to you know early volumes with all the silhouettes art that was going around and stuff like that. I adore those four shots at the end. Um, Ruby's hair looks amazing. I love how grown up she looks. She is looking like Summer Rose, and I love that. Even though
Hmm.
I think Summer Rose had a bit of a softer vibe, whereas Ruby's more edgy.
Yeah, I'm about to say she's very much like, I'm your cool mom.
Yeah, exactly. She's a cool mom, right, Regina? Yeah, and then the scepter, the relic of creation behind, created by
Hmm.
Monty Ohm, is absolutely perfect in every way.
Yeah.
So, um,
Hmm.
the godfather of the series.
Hmm.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
One thing I also did want to talk about, and people see this in my reaction, and I did kind of try to cut around it because I was a little bit embarrassed by it. When I
Oh.
first watched the intro, and it showed it did the Team Ruby slides, and then it did the Team Juniper slides, but it happened so quickly that all I saw was the green bar, and I my brain immediately was like Penny, and because I had this theory back during Volume 3 about Penny wanted to come back to be she wanted to find a way to stay at Beacon, and I had this thought of Penny replacing Pyrrha as the P and everything, and then and then we get Penny back, and I'm like, and then there's a green person in the Juniper lineup, and I was like, Penny, like I thought it was Penny joining Juniper, not realizing no, it's Oscar.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
Oscar
realized on my
because his
second
surname's
watch through
Pine.
that it
So
was, yeah, well. Also, they didn't have him. I didn't also even realize they didn't even have him in the right order because it was Jean, Ren, Oscar, Nora.
yeah, it is in the wrong order, and it does bother me a little bit.
So I was like, what's their team name now? Drawn? Like,
Drawn. Gibran.
no, they're they're Aaron now.
Abram. That would be funny.
They
Um,
are in Atlas.
I
Capitalism.
like the idea though of like Oscar just slotting into Team Juniper and you know not replacing Pyrrha but filling the hole that she left behind. And
Hmm.
like he would be such a good fit with them. He's had like he's him and Jean have had, you know, problems in volume 6 and like he's such a small bean. He needs he needs these people to take care of him. And like for me, Penny fitting into Team Juniper wouldn't make much sense
Yeah,
because they were
and
never
exactly.
very close with her, and it seems like she has her own things to deal with in Volume
Hmm.
7. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think
Plus,
she's going to
also, as I
spend a
mentioned,
lot of
she's
time with
so
them.
OP.
She's too OP. Yeah,
Yeah.
she would just like they would literally be just like sitting back while she does all of the work. So
Hmm.
to have her around constantly wouldn't make any sense. So to have Oscar just sort of slot into Team Juniper comfortably because they've spent time around each other now, they're all growing closer. Um, it would make sense for him to fill that space. So yeah, and I mean it still works. It's still Team Juniper. It's kind of bittersweet at the thought of Team Juniper still being Team Juniper, but just not the way that it was before. Um,
Hmm.
like
And
Kira's
especially
gone, but
after all
now
the
Oscar's
the
here.
closure they got last volume.
Yeah,
The problem is, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, though, is I'm like, Oscar can really only stick around as long as Ozpin isn't around. Because,
listen,
like,
I would be quite happy to not see Oz for the remainder of the volume.
hmm
Like, I would be quite
yeah,
happy for him to be marinating all volume. Thank you very
yeah.
much. I'm so pissed off with him
Plus,
still.
also, I don't think that Oscar would be super OP that way, even though he'd be pretty OP, but, like, it was kind of shown that, like, Ozpin is limited by Oscar's body.
Mm.
Like, just because when Ozpin takes over, he has all the muscle memory and all this stuff, but like, it's
It
still Oscar's
exhausts the poor
body.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't see that happening though
yeah.
because I don't see how Oz would die without Oscar going with him.
Hmm.
And I think that's how Oscar's story is going to end. It's going to end in a noble sacrifice because I don't see any other way of this happening.
Yeah.
But with Oscar, um, while Oz isn't around, Oscar is definitely learning how to handle himself. We can see that he can fight Grim. He did almost get eaten, but that's fine. He has his big
Hmm.
brothers and sisters to help him out, and that's
Yeah.
essentially what they
And
are.
also
So
he's 14, maybe 15 at this
15 at this
point.
point, I think. Yeah, he was 14 when we met him, but that was in Volume
Mhm.
4. So
So yeah, it's like, so I mean, technically he's like Ruby's age as of volume 1, except just minus all the like years of training. Granted, he then picked up all of Oz's memory, but like still,
yeah,
he he's a small being who's, not huntsman material.
he
Oh,
can.
that was one thing I also
Yeah,
wanted to mention earlier, is like that the reason that that everybody got arrested is because they were unlicensed huntsmen. And
right.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought of, like, that
I mean,
I guess
listen.
being huntsmen gives them like the right to carry weapons and gives them the right to use their weapons and blah blah blah. Like, I
Listen.
never thought about that before.
Their school blew up. Give them a pass. Come on. They
Uh,
managed to get all the way from Vale to Solitas without dying, so I think that
mhm.
qualifies them at this point.
Yeah, I know. That's partially why I'm like, I hope that when they talk to James, James just like hands out Huntress and Huntsman cards.
Oh
Like, here
my
you
god,
go.
please license them, please. Because at this point, they've gone through so much more training than they ever would have at Beacon in 4 years. And it's
Hmm.
like, they can handle it now. They're at a point where they're like, fighting Grim, yeah, piss easy, no problem. But like, it's just everything else that's the issue. It's
Yeah.
just the people that are the problem. It's not the Grim.
Ugh, people.
Yeah, people suck. Yeah, I really want James to like just be like, oh yeah, here you go, here license.
Hmm.
You get a license and you get a license. That would be good. Do you think Weiss throwing the trash out was what set them off because they said they heard of unlicensed work? Yeah, probably. Well,
I
and
mean,
the
I
fact
think it
that they were
was,
fighting the Grim as well.
yeah. I mean, it was that they were fighting Grim. I think that I think there was a lot that was making them easy to track down. Because I mean, first they arrive in a stolen ship, so like they were already investigating a stolen ship. That drone took a picture of Yang, that, and then the drone got destroyed. That would be a thing.
Oh,
Weiss doing what she did, them fighting the Grim, like it was they just led a perfect trail right to like, please arrest us.
yeah, exactly. I just remembered something too that I forgot to mention. When Yang like kicks the droid and it gets hit by the truck and she goes, ooh. Ooh. Like, whoops. And then she's like, maybe we should pick up the pace. And then they don't. They just
Yeah.
casually strolling down the street because
I
of
also loved
Cory.
Blake's eye roll there.
I
She's like,
can't.
ugh,
I cannot wait for Glorious Bees this volume.
I
I
know.
need Glorious Bees. I need Glorious Bees and I need Lucky Charms, and then I will be a happy. And I need more
Mhm.
Renora,
I was
please.
about to say, and we need some Renora as well.
Just
Just
and the fact that
nice.
the intro is and the song is called Trust Love makes me feel like, oh, I hope there's just gonna be so much just love and romance this volume. Like, please, I need it so bad. We're in such a
Uh,
dry
yeah.
spell.
We want love, romance, and revolution. Is that too much to ask
And
for?
gay ships.
Yeah.
We need more gay ships. We need more male gay ships specifically. We've got
Hmm.
our Bumblebee, and then we've got our straight people in Renora who we love, and then
Them, the straight.
we need our gay men now. That's just how it has to happen.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to Jean this volume more than anyone, I think, because I feel like he's been sidelined a little bit. Like, he got his
Mhm.
moment with Pyrrha's statue in volume 6, but beyond that, we haven't had a lot of Team Juniper sort of, love, really, in the last volume. But
Mhm.
Jean in particular, I want to see some real growth from him this volume. I want to see him grow and excel as a leader and become a better fighter. Like, the way he was fighting in the intro, I was like, you are not the same boy that we met in volume 1. Like, you are
Yeah.
useless. Look at you now.
Mhm.
Like, look at him go, like, just killing
Yeah.
all of
Like
these
he has
good.
a fighting style
He
now.
does. He has a style. And, like, I'm just like, look at you go. Like, he is the one that I think has, apart from Weiss, has grown
Mhm.
the most.
Yeah. And that's the other thing though is like I will always forever be a little bit salty about the fandom being so pissed off about Jean during volume 1, which granted, I agree. They focused on him too much, but people took that criticism way too far,
They did.
and I feel like it made Rooster Teeth afraid to use Jean more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ugh, he's a good character. Like,
Yeah.
let
Well,
use him, please."
Miles has admitted that he, for a while there, he didn't write Jean into scenes because of the criticism, and it's like they're literally negatively affecting the story and the show. And Jean is an excellent character. Who cares if he's voiced by one of the showrunners? He does a fucking fantastic job as Jean. He's a great character, and we love him, and we want to see more from him, and we want more for him. But yeah, it's just because of some dickheads hiding behind their computers going, Jean is a Mary Sue character. I'm like, no. Do you know what that means? Because clearly you don't. But like, he's such a good character, and I want the world for him because he's my baby. They're all my babies, all of them. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new outfits in action as well. So.
Yeah, that's is one thing is a lot of the outfits I'm holding back judgment on until we see them in the show
More, yeah.
because like I Weiss's outfit I'm still very nervous about. I think she looks gorgeous in theory.
She
I
looks
don't know
beautiful.
how she'll look gorgeous in practice.
Yeah.
Blake's hair looked gorgeous in theory and in practice looked questionable.
I really
Like
don't like Blake's hair at all. It's too
so
straight.
yeah, it's just there's things that I'm like, ugh, that I
Like, I
hope
was.
we'll see more of.
The concept art set an unrealistic expectation for Blake's hair because it looks so
Mhm.
full and like luscious and curly, how it usually was. And then you
Yeah.
get to the episode and it is straight and flat and spiky and boring.
Hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's
ew,
not how
that's not
curly
Blake's
hair
hair.
works.
That's not how curly hair works. If you chop off curly hair, it goes curlier. It doesn't go
Yeah.
straight. That's not how it
Hmm.
works at all. So I'm like, it doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right. And I like,
Hmm.
it's not correct.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it might get better, but at this point, I don't know how much they can possibly change it. So, and I think the only solution for it would be to change it because it's not very good. Sorry.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we'll see once it's in the actual show is like improvement
Yeah.
to, what we've seen, and maybe we were just seeing it from a bad angle or something, and hope and maybe they can get the
And
dimensions
or
on it
vice
better.
versa. Thanks for hanging out,
So
boys.
yeah, that's my hope.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
hope too.
the last thing that I have in my notes is about the weapons that we see in the intro with Robin's weapon seeming to be like kind of a winged shieldy crossbow thing.
Yeah.
And then we obviously have Hammer Lady from uh, the Aesops.
Mm.
Then we talked about the like railgun looking chainsaw thing from the wolf guy. Because we see him more in the intro when he's in the final shot, he's holding it in gun mode, and then in his silhouette, he's also holding it in gun mode,
Yeah.
and it looks like a railgun to me.
Mm.
You can see that the like Mohawk lady, she's got these like things on her back in the shot where we with the Gigas, um, and she's also got like lightning coming off her.
Mm.
So I'm thinking that she's like punchy,
Yeah.
sort of a thing. And then I don't know if this is still her or if it's the tattoo face guy, but somebody like pulls themselves into the Gigas, and it happens so quickly you can't really see who it
Mm.
is. So I'm wondering, is it
I'm
him or
gonna
is it
have to
her
go
that
frame
does
by
that?
frame with that section of the intro because there's a lot happening in that little bit there.
Hmm.
But yeah, the what was I gonna say? Robin's weapon. The wings on it are inspired by a Robin's wings, which I think is super
Yeah.
cool, and they look really,
Hmm.
really good. And it reminds me of Tyrion's weapon too, which is interesting because it's got the
Hmm.
same sort of shape to it. Um, yeah, Mohawk Lady probably has some sort of speed semblance. Yeah, yeah, I can see
Hmm.
that. I'm interested in getting to know Aesops, and
Yeah.
how many of them are Faunus as well interests me. What their semblances are, how they fight, how everybody's going to work together. Because
Hmm.
between the five Aesops, Team Ruby, Crow, and Team Juniper and Maria, that's like 20 people.
Hmm.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah. Bye, Dodge. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye, Brandon. All right, we're going to wrap up
Mhm.
here because it's been more than
Yeah.
3 hours. And remember
Yeah,
what we said when
exactly.
we go for less than two, because we
Yeah.
do, and we didn't.
Mhm. Though I know I don't think we're gonna see a ton of Maria this volume, though. I will say that
Unfortunately, I don't think so either.
because she can't fight, and I think that she's gonna Maria's maybe gonna be our insight into a lot of things going on with Pietro,
Yeah.
but I think that's about it.
I think she's going to make
I
up
don't.
for it, though, by stealing literally every scene that she's in.
Yeah, I mean, true,
Yeah.
but yeah. So predictions for next episode. We'll quickly do
Ironwood
that.
meeting.
Ironwood meeting, obviously. I'm
Um,
hoping for maybe a shopping montage.
yes, new outfits, weapon repairs. At least
Mm-hmm.
starting that anyway. Maybe not necessarily showing everything, but
Yeah. I
possible.
just don't want them to be suddenly in their new
Yeah,
stuff. I
they
want
won't. They
there
won't
to
suddenly
be.
be in it. They know how much we want a shopping montage, and we didn't get it in Volume 4, and everyone's mad. And possible handing out of huntsman licenses maybe could be a thing.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
also wondering what's going to happen with the lamp. Are they going to leave it with James?
I hope not. No, I don't think they will. I think they'll be like, excuse, that is mine. Well, we forget that Ozpin could be a part of this equation as well. He could show up
Yeah.
during this scene to be
Yeah.
like, excuse, mine, thank you. And he could also want to talk to James. Or he could completely leave it up to them to handle. It could go either way. Whether he's going
Mhm.
to be involved or not remains to be seen.
I really don't think we'll. I don't think. I feel like episode 2 would be too early to give us Oz back again. Because like they had that tiny moment in the finale where they were like, "Well, actually,"
Mm.
but like I feel like Oz isn't going to be super involved unless like I don't feel like Oz will take over again until like Oscar's life is in danger or he sees or there's something very pressing where he's like I need to be in this cuz like he won't just he's very much just observing right now
Mm.
and he doesn't want to I think he doesn't want to betray Oscar's trust or Team Ruby's trust or anybody by just being like wah
Mm.
kind of a thing.
I think if anything, he's probably gonna be in Oscar's head, maybe, and
Yeah.
just be like, "Can you please ask him this or something like that?"
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Mention this.
don't let him take the relic or something like that.
Mhm.
And the other thing I'm going to need is sweet, sweet Lucky Charms interaction in the next chapter, please.
And some bees.
Yes, and some bees, and some Renora. Just all of it, just everything. Give me all of it, all the love I want. So yeah.
But yeah, all around, I'm just excited for the next episode because it'll give us a more definitive idea of where we're going for at least the next couple of episodes, which I think will be heading in the direction of That Dust Mine.
I'm excited for something to happen in the next chapter because honestly, not a lot happened in the premiere, which I'm fine with. But like, let's pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we really need to wrap up. We've gone an hour and 6 minutes over time.
Honestly, we went this long because we didn't do one about the trailer, and we had to talk about the intro as well. So we should have known this would be a longer one.
Since February.
February, yeah. I think it was like February 2nd or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to go raid the corner of Remnant now. So they look like they're deeply in discussion about something. So we're going to go raid them. So we will be back next week at this time with Dishwasher 1910 to chat about Chapter 2. And we will keep it reasonable. Yes, we'll keep it reasonable because we'll have a guest. And there won't be as much to go over for us next week. So we haven't chatted about the soundtrack at all. We'll get to that at some point. That might be a break. Maybe that'd be something we talk. Well, but we have guests for the break week. Maybe I don't know. 6, we might try and chat about that. Maybe because I guess we'll see. Chapters. Yeah. Well, whatever. We'll figure it out. Eventually. Eventually, we'll talk about the soundtrack. Okay, so we're going to go raid the corner of Remnant. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us live. If you are watching this on YouTube, these are live streamed on my Twitch at 9 a.m. AEDT every single week. That time will change depending on the week. I will notify everybody on my Twitter, on the Boopcast Twitter. Go follow the Boopcast on Twitter. Make sure you use the hashtag Boopcast to chat about things and to send us your questions. You can send us your questions during the week too, and we'll read them out on the stream. If you think of a question and you're like, I want them to answer that, just tweet it to us during the week and we'll save it. And if you remember, because you'll be asking questions about the next episode, please also tag RWBY 7 spoilers and RWBY spoilers and RWBY spoilers just in case. Yeah. So there's all the Twitters and everything, and next week we will be back with Bark, and we'll see you then. Okay, goodbye everyone, going to raid. Don't we have credits?